Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. What is good? What is up? It is your boy JeskerJames with a Z here for a very controversial live stream. Probably going to get some heat for this. And I am joined by my boy Andrew over at XP Comics, which, by the way, go check out his site, XP Comics. Go check out his comic books. He's got some great stuff going on. I am posting a link to that in the chat right now. I also have it linked in the description box down below. Andrew, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Andrew Rowland. I'm the founder of XP Comics. I'm the creator of Cane of Justice. Just have like two issues out, two floppy issues. And pretty soon going to be working on, getting the volumes done. And hopefully get these books out, into physical stores.
Yeah, which is something that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff tonight when it comes to Comicsgate. Might catch some heat from some well-known people in the community. We'll see how it goes. And if anybody out there has a contrary opinion, let me know. Hit me up. The invite link is in the chat. You can always jump on stream and we can have a debate about it. But this has been making the rounds for, I would say, about a week or so. I first caught wind of it on Nerdette's Newsstands channel. She did a live stream about it last week. And I was like, okay, let me I watched her live stream of it. That's when I first saw it. And then I went and watched the video myself over the weekend. I know Ruby King's been talking about it. There's a lot of people that have been talking about it. I think even Ethan himself has actually reacted to it. It's a very critical look at Comicsgate from kind of its origins all the way to the latest situation surrounding Comicsgate, which is, of course, the feud with the Rippaverse. And there's some things in here that I agree with, some things in here I disagree with. We're going to dive into it. But yeah, you got anything to say before we press play?
No, like I heard about it when Ruby King was talking about it on Katie's group chat. So I decided to take a look at it, and like for the most part, I agree what it has to say about Comicsgate. I think when we get to the Rippaverse stuff, I think it's quite obvious that this person is probably more on the Rippaverse side. And I kind of wish this video was not leaning to like one side, and maybe criticize both sides. Because I think that's what's needed. We don't need like this group is better than that group. But I think both groups are not doing themselves justice.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's this idea out there, especially in this community where the indie comics community, where you have to side with one over the other. You have to show loyalty to one over the other, as if Ethan and Eric were mafia godfathers of two rival.
You got to be loyal to me.
Two rival mobs, and it's like, I thought this was about nerdy comic shit. What's happening here?
And, and and the Comicsgate side would be like, oh, Ethan's not our leader. But Comicsgate doesn't have a leader. I'm like, no, you guys treat him like a leader.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we went over this in the stream where we talked about Ethan's, the drunk stream, and there's a lot of people that just didn't call it out. A lot of people that
they don't want to talk about it. Like they want to sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, they were running. They were like shielding Ethan and everything, and I'm like, guys, one of the whole reasons that these indie movements started was to create a movement where no one is above criticism, because that was the problem with the mainstream, is that we would criticize the mainstream. We would get attacked for it. We would get called some of the worst things in the book for it. And it's like, if we've gotten to the point now to where we can't criticize people in our own movement, how are we any different? How are we any better from the mainstream?
Yeah, like you're basically a cult at this point.
Yeah. A cult of personality.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I do have it sped up to, I didn't do it double speed, but I have it to 1.75. We'll see how fast that is. Yeah. I might have to slower it or speed it up. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll see how fast that is. It just depends.
Oh my God, I love the little Boondocks, footage, that he uses.
Yeah, it's a great way to start out, man. Boondocks is a classic. All right, here we go.
You ever thought about what would be the most effective way to kill a movement? To kill a coordinated effort for change? The first go-to strat would probably be to just murk the dudes at the top.
All right, I can already tell. I'm gonna have to probably slow it down just a tad. Let's go to 1.5 speed, because that's a little much. I don't like the chipmunk voice.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
That doesn't always work out. The movements of Gandhi and MLK kept chugging along just fine after they both left the server, with new martyrs to boot. No, the most effective way to actually kill a movement is to introduce individuals with tons of charisma and ambition, but who don't actually give a shit about the movement, who are just really there for themselves. A perfect example of this was Gamergate, a movement that a decade ago was ignited over gamer indignation at corruption and...
Yeah, so so the best way to kill a movement is to infiltrate it. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, pretty much told us this.
Yeah. And also the best way to...
Yes, we know it's late.
Failure. Look at this guy spelling it out. So it's like the Destiny board from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something.
Yeah. Like the original was supposed to spell like death, but I think they changed it to
final.
Yeah, final.
Yeah.
Because like, this game is supposed to be for kids. We can't have death. In a children's card game.
Yeah, people. Shadow Realm don't exist in the Japanese version.
It's literally death.
Yeah, it's literally either death, or in some cases, they just straight up go to hell.
Yeah. All right, carry on.
Lack of ethics in games journalism. It was quickly, and when I say quickly, I mean almost immediately, hijacked by culture war grifters on all sides of the political spectrum who just use it as a vehicle for lining their pockets and gaining clout. While GG accomplished little in the end, its legacy persists in various forms, including one of the most cartoonish supervillain-ass Wikipedia pages I've ever seen. ISIS doesn't have terrorist organization in its title. Jeffrey Epstein and P. Diddy don't have sexual deviant in theirs. The Gamergate? Oh, they had to let you know it was a harassment campaign. Also, they had to lock it down, so only the select elite of Wikipedia can edit it.
Man! What did he do to make them niggas that bad?
But there's also a less famous movement that's also been gutted by charismatic grifters. Comicsgate. As you can guess by the name, it was obviously aping the style and probably the notoriety of Gamergate, which was around 3 years old in 2017 when hashtag Comicsgate first began to circulate. While the drama of GG was still fresh in everyone's mind, CG was just getting off the ground, ruthlessly trashing the trash comics that had flooded shelves and long boxes throughout comic shops all across America, as well as trashing the malicious behavior of the people making them against fans all across social media. You probably didn't know any of this nerd shit was going on, and I don't blame you. Even most geek communities till this day still don't know exactly what Comicsgate is all about outside of it involving comics. Contrast that with Gamergate, which, while still a niche and nerdy subject, has had major publications putting out stories about it, activists who spoke about it in front of the UN, and even had a notoriously cringe Law and Order episode dedicated to it.
What happened?
That is so cringe.
Women in gaming. What did they do to you? They leveled up.
The only people whose feathers were ruffled by Comicsgate were the people within the American comics industry. And the American comics industry is very, very small. Just to convey how small.
So, I'm going to pause here real quick, make a comment. I think people forget this because, again, like people usually focus on their niche and everything. Like some people focus on comics, some people focus on gaming, films, what have you. But I think a lot of people forget this. Comicsgate is an offshoot of Gamergate.
Yeah.
Gamergate was like the original, movement when it came to criticizing the, putting identity politics ahead of story.
Yeah.
And Comicsgate kind of branched off from that. It was like, well, okay, this is a problem in gaming, but let's bring it into our niche. Let's talk about this issue in our niche, and let's call it Comicsgate.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why Comicsgate never got as much media attention as something like Gamersgate is because, well, number one, comics are a niche medium anyways.
Yeah, like they're like a niche of a niche.
Yeah. Gaming is the biggest entertainment and media medium
next to
in the world.
Next to film and television.
I actually think gaming has surpassed it, if I'm not mistaken. Like just recently, in the last couple of years, I think they said the gaming industry had made more money than the film industry.
Yeah.
So gaming is huge. Gaming is huge. You compare that to comic books. I think people forget that comic books, used to have really lost a lot of their power as like a standalone medium. A lot of them are used now, especially in the mainstream, to farm stories for films and games.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but
like regular books, are probably in a higher stature, than American comics still.
Oh, I would agree with that. Absolutely. If you look at something like Harry Potter, for example, or
God forbid Twilight.
Yeah. Or a Song of Ice and Fire. I would say that those are definitely, as far as like widespread mainstream popularity, their adaptations have definitely garnered more.
Yeah.
Well, not their adaptations, just the books in and of themselves have garnered more attention than comic books.
Like I think the reason why American comics like right now is like nowhere near as popular is because like, and this is my very personal opinion, that modern American comic art just doesn't look as fun as they used to be. Like in this video's background, like that's from the Justice League Frontier comic. Like I much rather like that book looks more appealing than this hyper realistic comic style where nobody has like any emotions at all.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that's one reason why, if you look at manga, it's actually got more popularity than American comics does right now, because the art style is a lot more lively.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, I say all that because like as we get into this video and get more in depth into the controversies and stuff, I want you to keep that in mind, like how big comics actually are. And then you look at how small comics actually are in terms of the media landscape. And then you think about how much smaller indie comics have to be in regards to that. And then you realize there's all this controversy, all this drama over something that's that fucking niche.
Yeah.
When you look at this whole thing in that context, it's going to look really, really ridiculous
and silly.
Yeah. So let's continue.
The American comics industry actually is. There's a manga called Kimetsu no Yaiba, better known as Demon Slayer if you aren't a complete fucking weeb. It's pretty popular. I'm sure a lot of you watching this have at least heard about it. At the peak of its popularity, Demon Slayer was not only the most popular manga in Japan, it was the most popular comic on the planet. Demon Slayer was so popular that in 2020, it outsold the entire American comic industry by itself. This is the dwarf-sized state of the modern American comics industry, and this was the catalyst for #Comicsgate. CG started as a movement of fans of comics who hated what their hobby had become and wanted the industry to change. It It definitely had elements of a culture war, but it was ultimately a consumer revolt. The OGs of Comicsgate, some of the most prominent including Captain Cummings, Ingleteen, Unranked Chevron, Douglas Ernst, and Richard Meyer, aka
Captain
your boy Zach,
Cummings,
had
man.
YouTube channels that predated the Comicsgate hashtag. A lot of them followed a format of taking a modern comic and tearing it apart figuratively, and in Meyer's case, literally. They would also critique the pros themselves, which was the easiest thing to do because the American comic industry has some of the most brain-rotted, terminally online professionals of any industry I've ever seen. The way these niggas were straight up disrespecting the shit out of their own customers, you would think they were rock stars and rappers who were balling out of control. Most of them were not. We're not talking regular broke. We're talking begging strangers on the internet for rent money broke. Still, CG struggled for a sense of legitimacy. It was a grassroots movement of aggrieved comic fans, but that's all they were. Comic book fans. They were consumers who had lots of critiques of the industry, but they were still just a bunch of non-comic book making nerds on the outside of the industry looking in. And the industry could dismiss their critiques as such. At least that's what they could do until a very talented, charismatic, and ambitious comic book artist, freshly exiled from the industry, found his new home in Comicsgate. Ethan Van Sciver.
All right, before we jump into that, I want to comment on something.
Mm-hmm.
It said that Demon Slayer, I forgot what year it was, but Demon Slayer in like 1 year outsold the entire American comic book industry.
Yeah.
Now, I want people to understand why that is and why people are gravitating so much to manga.
Yep.
And the reason why, one of the reasons, is because unlike here in America, the Japanese actually take their shit seriously.
Yep. They take their art very seriously.
Yeah, like we look at comics and cartoons and animation, in our collective Western conscience, it's still looked at as like, oh, this is kiddie stuff. It's childish, blah, 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 blah. So we don't have to take it as seriously. And over in Japan, like the main form of storytelling, I would say in modern Japan, is anime and manga.
Yeah.
I mean, they treat anime and manga how we treat films.
Yep. And like regular novels.
Yes.
Like I think the stats come from 2020, you know, when the pandemic started. Demon Slayer sold 82 over 82 million copies. Whereas like next down is Kingdom and One Piece, which I think One Piece is like the king of anime and manga because it has been consistently on top, you know, for a very long time.
Yep. Yeah, it was Dragon Ball for a while in terms of sales, but I think it was about, I want to say 3 to 5 years ago. The One Piece series actually outsold Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
So,
Are we talking Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super?
No, like the Dragon Ball manga.
Like the entire franchise.
Yeah, because you have to understand, in the manga, there's no differentiation between the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
That distinction is made for the anime. The original manga starts from the Pilaf saga and goes all the way through to Boo.
Yeah.
And that entire thing in the manga is just called Dragon Ball. There's no Z.
Okay. Yeah, because I think Dragon Ball Super is now its own like manga series.
Super actually has the subtitle Super, but in the manga there was no Z. There never.
Yeah.
Z was something just that title is just for the anime.
Yeah, it was all just Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Now in the West, it's not like that because in the West they did add the Z to the manga volumes that start with the Saiyan saga. They did do that here in the West because Dragon Ball Z was more recognizable than Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
But in the original Japanese, there is no differentiation.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I think in America, like we actually got Dragon Ball Z before Dragon Ball, which is weird.
Well, the way that it worked is that they did try to bring Dragon Ball to America back in the, I want to say it was 89 or 1990, one of the two. Mm-hmm. But it was like some really, really like low level dubbing company. Mm-hmm. And it really didn't catch on. It wasn't until
Dragon Ball went through a lot of like dubbings, you know, in its past.
Yeah, I think it was like the Harmony Gold dub or something like that was like the first Dragon Ball dub.
Like
But
the
then,
only one I know is like the Ocean dub, the Big Green dub, and and then it found its permanent home in the Funimation dub,
yeah,
which is now Crunchyroll.
yeah, I think Harmony Gold was the first one to try and dub it. But then it didn't catch on, and it wouldn't be for another 4 or 5 years after that Ocean actually got the Ocean group actually got a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Funimation got a hold of it, and Ocean actually dubbed the series. They continued to dub the series in Canada and the UK, and then Funimation dubbed it in the United States. So there's actually 2 different English dubs for the original Dragon Ball Z anime. You can actually find clips of like Boo Saga Ocean dub, Cell Saga Ocean dub. All of that's on there, and but then Funimation was the one that was known in the United States, and
that was the version that got put up on Toonami at the time.
Yeah, in America now, and if you look at Toonami in Canada and the UK, because they had their own version of Toonami, it was the Ocean. Yeah. Which they used very similar scripts. I mean, it was basically the same script for both dubs, but it was still 2 different dubbing companies,
just different voice actors. Which the Ocean dub voice actor of Goku is also the voice of Rolf in Ed, Ed and Eddie, which I think is very funny.
And to this day, there's still a debate as to which, like for certain characters who actually does the voices better.
That's easy. Team 4-Star.
Well, there's also that dub, but I mean, like some people say like Vegeta's Ocean dub voice is better than.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I prefer Chris Sabat's voice.
Yeah, I mean, I think both have their good points, bad points, but I like both dubs. I think both dubs are actually pretty good. And the music I think is good in both, but I grew up more with the Funimation dub, so that's the one that I'm always gonna go to, but still.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, anyways, my point is that, again, like, just putting this on to contextualization, if people are going to complain about the comic book industry not doing well, the Western comic book industry, maybe instead of fighting manga, maybe you ought to take some lessons from manga. I'm just saying, like, maybe you ought to take this shit seriously. Maybe you ought to make it more consistent instead of rebooting the shit every year. Maybe you ought to do something outside of just superhero comics.
Yeah. And superheroes are not bad stories, but you just need to add more variety. Like, imagine if DC, did sort of like a rom-com comic. Because they always kept complaining that, like, where's our female fan base? Okay, then start making rom-com comics.
Yeah, listen. It has been proven when it comes to
look at Archie.
When it comes to novels, more women are reading novels than men.
Yeah.
And the reason why that is because there's a shit ton of romance novels.
Yeah. And more women read manga than comics, because there's more romance stories in manga than American comics. And there are very, very few women who read Archie comics, since that is like meant to be sort of a rom-com like kind of comic series.
Yep. Yeah. It's again, if you want to combat manga, then you got to take your shit seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, for the love of God, there's a reason why Hayao Miyazaki is called the Steven Spielberg of anime. And it's because he actually takes the art form seriously.
Yep.
In a way that we just haven't.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. Now we're going to get into the EVS stuff. This is where things are really going to start getting controversial.
Yeah.
Ethan Van Sciver, also known as EVS, Uncle Ethan, the Human Sunbeam, Caesar, and the King of Comicsgate, is a distinguished veteran of the comics industry, making his debut in comics with Cyberfrog in 1994.
So what was your first published work?
Cyberfrog #1 by Hall of Heroes, the most reputable independent comic book publisher in Elkhart, Indiana.
Despite all his time in the industry and the credentials he amassed within, he still ended up parting ways with DC over what he claimed were political differences. He was a little too right-wing to hang in the now super leftist comic industry. Allegedly. I gotta add that in because Ethan also expressed that his reasons for leaving was that he felt like a small cog in a big machine, and that he wanted to leave DC to spread his wings and work on IPs that he actually owned. It might seem inconsequential, but it does fundamentally change how you might view Uncle Ethan's entry into Comicsgate. Was he really just a political refugee who was essentially forced out of the industry just for being openly Republican? Or was he always planning on leaving DC once his contract had expired, and he just hopped aboard the CG train because he saw it was chugging in the direction he was heading anyway? I'm breaking this up because Uncle Ethan ain't exactly the most honest guy, and you're gonna see that he's not just the king of Comicsgate, he's also the king of opportunism. Now, some of you might be wondering, Mikey, how could Ethan Van Sciver be the king of Comicsgate when he wasn't one of its founding members? That's a very good question. One that even Comicsgate OGs who witnessed the rise of EVS are still a little confused by.
When EVS first showed up on live streams and started backing Comicsgate and everything, we thought it was a boon. Oh my gosh, we have not only a comic book professional, but we have one of the greatest artists in comic book history. We thought it was such a boon, and then all of a sudden we're doing our thing and we're saying King of Comicsgate. What? He's the newest member. What are you talking about, King of Comicsgate? And I'll tell you what, he repeated the lie so much it became the truth.
See, when Ethan pulled up on Comicsgate, he already had a connection via Richard C. Meyer, the then most popular affiliate of CG, and everyone in CG was immediately wowed because this wasn't just a commentator. This was an accomplished, talented veteran of the industry, and an ambitious and charismatic one at that. See, EVS is the type of dude politicians and business execs.
Now, as far as I've known Ethan, like I've only heard, that he got fired from DC for, because he voted, because he openly, I don't know if he spoke on Twitter, saying that he voted for Trump, and that's why they fired him, so, but that was even before. That was even before my time, so I can't really say, what's true or what's fake.
Well, no one can really say what's true or what's fake because we weren't there. But the story that we've been told is that he got fired because he openly came out in support of Trump.
Yeah.
So that's the story we've been told. Now the thing is, if he felt like a cog in the machine and stuff like that, don't
we all?
I mean, it could be both. That's the thing. He could have felt like he was a cog in the machine going back years. I mean, that's possible. And he was always planning to leave at some point. And maybe the whole Trump thing was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
So two things can be true at the same time. It's not necessarily an either or situation, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it's the cog in the machine thing is not really what Ethan has really run with as far as his explanation for why he left. It has solely been the political differences in regards to his support of Trump and, of course, the comic book industry leaning towards more leftward direction politically. But it could be both. He's just not presented that, himself.
Right.
That's not the narrative that he's gone with. That's not how he's contextualized the situation.
And there have been some people have said that that it could be possible that that they did not want Ethan Van Sciver to work for DC anymore is because he's too slow of an artist. Because based on what I've heard is that DC just kept having him do cover art. Thus the Flashpoint cover, but we never seen him do any sequential art. And if that's true, then then that probably explains why his books are always late.
Well, I mean, it does make sense because, and we'll get into this, and the documentary gets into this, but yes, Ethan has even admitted this on a few occasions. Now, he's not brought it up in some time, but I know that he's actually said this on a few occasions. Like, one of his biggest issues is it takes him so long to put anything out. And the reason he says that it takes so long for him to get his stuff done is because he's trying to make sure he does it right. He's trying to make sure the quality's up. He's trying to make sure it's the story he wants to tell. He's trying to make sure it's presented in the way that he wants presented, which are all valid in at least a respectable sense, because it's like, okay, you're an artist. This is your own project. You're not really working for anybody. I get it. Like, I can.
Oh, like you're not on anyone's time and dime.
Right. I get that. But at the same time, you can put so much heart and work and effort into something, but if it never gets out there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, and like, I just don't understand why he launches the campaign first, gets the money, and then starts working on it. It's like, no, dude, like, just finish the book.
Yeah.
Or
at least
put up the campaign.
Or at least get it to where it's nearly finished.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not completely finished, because again, even though you're not technically working for anybody, you are taking people's money. You are doing crowdfunding, and people expect, okay, if I'm going to put money into a project, I actually want to see the project completed. I want to see the project put out there. And this is this is one reason why crowdfunding has got such a negative reputation, is because you have people that have gone out and they have, started these huge campaigns, and people have sent them in money, and then nothing ever comes from it. Nothing ever happens, and people feel like they got ripped off. And it's like,
yeah,
why did I fund this project if it's never coming out?
Oh, I'll just get it done when you'll just get it when it gets done, and I'm not going to tell you when it's going to be done.
Yeah.
That's why I personally don't do the whole campaign thing, because I too, have an issue with, like, I'm also a very slow artist. So that's why I don't give myself a deadline, because I want to have the freedom to draw the way I want and not feel rushed.
Yeah.
But if I ever were to do a campaign, like, I would just wait until I'm like 95% done with the book, and then post the campaign.
Yeah. See, like I've been talking about on my channel, but I'm writing a book, but other than dropping some concepts, other than like showing some concept art through AI and stuff, just to give people an idea of what some of this stuff is going to look like, I've not talked about it like hardcore seriously or anything, because until the damn thing is nearly finished, I don't want to go on these hype campaigns or do anything financial, because something may come up, something may delay it, something out of my control, or I may change something. So until I'm ready, what's the point?
Yeah. You're just wasting everyone's time and money.
Yeah, exactly. And it would be one thing if Ethan was working on these books and like he was like showing off like the process and stuff, giving people sneak peeks, but there was no financial involvement from his audience at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I see it, if you're going to be, because I'm looking at this from like the time it takes to develop a book and everything, a comic book. If you're going to launch a campaign, it should take no more than a year between the beginning of that campaign and the release of the product.
At the most,
yeah. No more than a year.
Yeah.
If it's any more than that, it's gone on for too long. Now, again, if there's things that come up, if there's, like legitimate delays, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. Because, shit happens, life happens, but if that does happen, then you need to be transparent with your audience and your backers.
Yeah.
And you need to explain what's going on. That's fine. But yeah, like when it comes to a book, assuming everything goes right, it should take no more than a year. A year. But we've been waiting on we've been waiting on the next Cyberfrog for how long now?
Like I think his Rainbow the Brute is like the biggest offender. When it comes to when it comes to Ethan's late books, what like is Rainbow the Brute like like 3 years late?
Yeah, and there's no sense in that.
Yeah,
I mean 3 years development is the type of shit you expect from a video game.
yeah, or a movie.
Not a comic book or a movie, not a comic book.
Yeah,
A comic book, especially for someone that's been doing this as long as Ethan, a comic book should not take this long to come out.
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Michael commented, I've been following CG from the beginning before Ethan even showed up. He hijacked the whole movement.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and again, they're talking about how, there was like all these guys that started Comicsgate, and then Ethan came into the movement and again kind of hijacked the whole thing. Their words, not mine. Let me be clear about that. But the reason why is because let's not deny here, like Ethan is a charismatic dude.
Yeah.
And people are attracted to charisma. I
personally don't see it. I don't think he's like really that charismatic, in my opinion. But I'm not everybody else.
No, I get that, but like for a lot of people, like Ethan comes off as very charismatic. And the thing is that especially here in America, people are really attracted to showmen.
Yeah.
I mean, that I don't know what it is about Americans, but that's the reason why Hollywood is. That's the reason why Hollywood culture is such a big thing. That's why actors and actresses like get all this attention.
Yep.
It's one reason why we're so infatuated with the royal family, even though we have nothing to do with England at this point.
Yeah.
It's just we are attracted to charismatic personalities.
Yeah.
And that and I mean, again, like I don't think it's necessarily right that Ethan comes in and hijacks a whole movement, but if you're looking for an explanation as to why that happened and why people called him the king of CG and the face of CG, that's why. It's because he's charismatic to a lot of people.
But he has the most influence.
Yeah, I mean, you can be, and this is something I've had to learn the hard way, but you can be as intelligent as you want, have the best arguments, the best logic, you can bring in the stats. Unless you have that charisma, a lot of people are not going to listen and they're not going to give a fuck.
Like the best example, in American politics, Obama versus Romney. Romney may have all the stats and the numbers, but Obama had all the charisma.
Yeah.
To become president.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said, and this is why, regardless of what you think of them as presidents, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and I would say, given this last election, even Donald Trump, were the best campaigners probably in political history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely insane how good they are at campaigning. Regardless of what you think of them as presidents, as campaigners,
yeah,
they clicked with people.
Yeah. And like probably like 98% of the most charismatic presidents have always been Democrats.
Yeah, I mean Ronald Reagan was charismatic.
Well, yeah, but that's why I say like 98%. It's like mostly, the Democrats. Because Democrats know how to tug at the heartstrings.
Yeah. Ethan even made up wild conspiracy and lies about one of the Comicsgate's founders to the point of a session, just like he's doing to Eric. I don't know about that situation you're talking about, but there's some truth to the stuff going on with Eric. I mean, we've talked about it here. Like, I'm no fan of Eric July, but Eric July has become an obsession. You're right about that. He has become an obsession to EVS. And honest to God, and there's other people in Comicsgate to where all they want to do is talk about Eric July, Eric July, Eric July.
Yeah.
And it's really fucking creepy.
I keep telling everybody in CG, like, guys, Ethan is living in your head.
Yeah.
Like Ethan's books, like in terms of quality, are probably not that good, but he is living inside your head 24/7. So so you gotta have to question, who's really winning.
Are you talking? You mean Eric's living inside their head?
Yeah.
You said Ethan.
Did I? Sometimes I get them mixed up.
But no, you're right though, because Eric. I mean, listen, and I've said this I don't know how many times. Like when there's something new going on with the Rippaverse, I will talk about it. If it's worth critiquing, I'll criticize Eric July. But I'm not going to make every single show about Eric motherfucking July.
Yeah.
He's not that interesting of a character, people.
Like Eric July could sneeze, and there'll be like hours of streams about it.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I have a life outside of this shit. I'm not going to sit there and watch every single Eric July live stream.
Yeah.
Just to sit there and be like, I can make a whole live stream about this one thing he said. It's like, I'm not going to, that's fucking crazy.
Plus you're wasting your time on this. Like, don't you have anything better to do? Like, I don't know, work on your comics.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's like Ethan's shows have become trashing on Eric July, trashing on Yellow Flash, and I don't like either one of them. But daggum, man, it's like enough's enough. I mean, I don't like at a certain point I was like, I don't really have much to say about the Rippaverse. Like I've said my piece on it. Like I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. What am I supposed to talk about?
Yeah.
Like I think Eric's making a lot of bad financial decisions in the long term, not the short term, but in the long term. I think it's going to come back to bite him in the ass. The Saska sisters are just fucking demonic.
Like, it's like, why? Like, why are they here?
Yeah, and then like the shit that Eric's cult tried to do to Katie was absolutely disgusting. I mean, I don't know what else. And his books suck. The stories suck. The characters suck. The art sucks. It's a lot of it's a ripoff.
Like what Mike Partika has been saying is that it feels like these books don't have any editors at the helm. Sure they have names, as editors, but are they even doing their job? Like, are they even editing? Or are they like just looking at the script and going, okay, that's good?
Yeah. But I mean, again, like, what am I supposed to do? Spend every single stream reiterating the same fucking points? No, I think people get it. Eric is fucking up in multiple ways, financially, artistically, creatively.
Yep.
And I mean, we've exhausted the point. The only time to really talk about him is like this week kind of makes sense because he's going to court over the whole Riley thing, so there's stuff to talk about there.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. When we get to that part of the documentary.
Yeah, and I mean, there's if he releases another book and turns out to be shit, there's stuff to talk about there. But other than that, there's really not a reason to talk about Eric July anymore.
Like in politics, like hasn't the left been doing a very similar thing with Trump? So I'm going to call it Eric July derangement syndrome, because that's basically what this whole thing is.
I mean, yeah, in some ways, yeah. Let's see here. Ethan became the figurehead, which is understandable with him being an artist. Well, yes, and don't get me wrong, like Ethan's art is really, really good, and his work on the Blackest Night storyline in the Green Lantern comics is some of the best stuff out there, but I think it's really more so that he's just charismatic. Well, I mean, for the love of God, look at how many people he has coming into a live stream every single night. It's insane.
Like for his Rainbow the Brute book, like why does he need to draw it? Because like, you know, like this book is clearly a parody of what's the name of that one franchise where it's like a girl's like a girl's toy.
Sailor Moon?
No, it's
Rainbow Bright?
Yes. Yeah, because like this is clearly meant to be a parody of Rainbow Bright, but I don't think his style works. For a parody comic, like his art style needs to be more cartoony.
Yeah. Almost like it needs to be more manga-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Douglas Ernst in Iconic Comics is what I'm talking about. They really speak about Ethan. He will constantly drag up old drama they had in the past. Because Ethan, I think, is one of this is what I mean when I say that the whole thing with DC and now with Eric July, I think in a lot of ways, and I think we saw this when it came to the drunk stream, Ethan is kind of a broken man.
Yeah.
He just can't let shit go. He sees enemies and boogeymen around in every shadow, around every corner. And it does come off as being kind of paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy that really burns Ethan's ass is Doug TenNapel. That's true. Like, he does talk about Doug, and I'm not even sure what the drama is there, but like, he does bring up Doug TenNapel a lot.
I don't know either.
I hate Eric. EVS going at him was funny for maybe 2 weeks. Now it's boring.
You're boring.
Like the thing is that when he did the trash cast, I was like, okay, this is kind of funny. I was like, all right, this is kind of funny. But I would say after the first month, I'm kind of like, we're still doing this, huh? We're still doing this bit. I was like, it was funny for like that first month. And then after a while, I'm just like, okay, this is kind of taking over your entire channel and it's not really funny anymore. Like, it's
learn
like,
a different tune.
Yeah, like this, it's just repeating the same damn joke over and over and over. And I'm just not like, go back to the Comicsgate King streams. Like, enough with the trash cast stuff. Like, and it just went on for months and months and months.
Like it's basically become, Orange Man bad kind of thing. What the media saying Orange Man bad, just on constant repeat. Now, for Ethan's situation, it's just black man bad.
Yeah. Michael says Ethan is also a drama whore. Well, obviously, when you're just doing Flashcast over and over and over and over, it gets. I mean, that's kind of obvious. Evius has had beef with Doug TenNapel because Doug didn't credit Ethan at a Comic-Con. Then Doug left CG because of the whole war campaign. Gay ops Ethan was engaged in, plus other. Get over it. I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, and the Ethan fans will constantly white knight for Ethan. Like, no, he was never part of war campaign. He never told them to do any of that.
Well, it's just, to me, it's just like, dude, like at some point you got to let shit go. And plus, no one owes you loyalty. Like, I've heard this whole thing, especially when it comes to the Rekieta situation. They were like, oh, Rekieta made you. It's like, what is this weird shit in conservative? It's mostly in conservative and independent, like conservative content creator communities. What is this weird shit that because somebody got you big, somebody blew you up on social media, now you owe your entire fucking life to them?
Yeah. Well, like Ethan keeps saying, like, he doesn't owe, he doesn't owe anybody a promotion, and then I'll turn around and say, okay, then I don't owe you my loyalty.
Right. It's like, bro, I'll go back to the Rekieta thing. Like, people have said, oh, Rekieta made you. It's like, guys, if Nick Rekieta is revealed to have diddly a kid or something, oh, it doesn't matter. You still got to show loyalty. It's like, no, I fucking don't. And I'm not saying he did that, but I'm saying like if something like that came out, no, I fucking don't. If something like that came out on Ethan, it's like, yeah, I'm not sticking with him. Like I don't like. I'm gonna come out and make it very fucking clear. I had no idea this shit was going on, and I disavow hardcore.
Yeah, it's called morals and standards.
Yeah, it's about it's about principles, not personalities.
Yeah.
And that's what people have forgotten. You have people in War Campaign who have come out and said Ethan asked them to do shit. I can believe it.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
Thank God stayed clear of their careers and went into comics instead. He's equal parts a natural-born car salesman and an asshole. And these qualities of Uncle Ethan are ultimately what killed Comicsgate. Well, he didn't do it solo, but he definitely was the MVP of this shit. The first mortal wound inflicted on early CG actually didn't come from Ethan, but from his internet platonic boyfriend, Richard Meyer. In March of 2018, Meyer put out a vid about Brian Pulido, the creator of the comic Lady Death, and he talked about how Pulido had grossed tons of money through several consecutive successful Kickstarter campaigns for his books.
So this is Brian Pulido, who's a popular indie comic in the 90s. He's come back strong like bull in the Kickstarter game. I just want you to focus on this. He's coming up on 250,000 sales. So he's backed 47 and he's created 11. And this is huge. He's on $250,000 for a comic. It's just a comic. And he's been doing one, I think he does like every 6 months or so he does one. And he's been steadily making more and more each one.
This gave Meyer, who was already making plans with John Malin at the time, another comic pro who would follow Ethan Van Sciver's lead and leave the industry for Comicsgate, the encouragement to finally pursue a plan he'd been thinking about for a while. Rather than go through the traditional model of indie publishing and deal with Diamond's costly, antiquated-ass bullshit, Meyer and Malin would just crowdfund their new comic book, Jawbreakers, instead. That man on the outside looking in era of Comicsgate was now officially over. And this right here was the first mortal blow of Comicsgate as a movement. It fundamentally shifted the character and purpose of Comicsgate. CG was no longer just a consumer revolt. No, now it was a brand. Before, CG was a bunch of industry outsiders, just commentators who, through passion and love for the medium alone, talked about comics and called for change in the industry. Now you had guys like Ethan Van Sciver, John Malin, Mike S. Miller, and even Earthworm Jim creator Doug TeNapel throwing up that hashtag Comicsgate set. And they weren't doing it out of pure passion and love for the medium like the OG CGers were. Now they were doing it to sell comics, to get super chats, to move merch, to make money. This was great if you were someone who mainly just
now that is a natural process, that it was going to go. You can only bitch and complain about the comic industry so much, until you go Thanos and go, fine, I'll do it myself. Which is like the natural way to go, but at some point, it's like, like when it started to become more about the super chats, than actually making good comics, that's where you lost me.
Well, also too, you have to consider that once something becomes a business, it always leads to bad shit. Yeah. I mean that's the problem, is that whenever you have money involved, it's always like money. I mean, there's a reason why they say money is the root of all evil.
Well, the love of money.
Yeah, but usually people who have a lot of money love money. Yeah. I mean, that's the problem. And it loses some of its purity. Loses some of its purity. And I've seen this with other movements, other indie creators. I've seen a lot, like it'll start out as something that's kind of pure from a creative standpoint, and then once it really becomes a business, like you start having issues pop up.
Well, like I think the real issue is that the whole thing has started to become tribal. I think that's the real issue. It became like a like an extreme sports team. Like my team has to win all the time. My side is always the good guys, and everyone else is the bad guys. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with making money from your comics. But there's like just a like I feel like there's like lack of maturity, from a lot of these people, that when the money does get involved, their inner teenager like just starts to come out.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these are men, children, anyways.
Yeah.
But I've seen this happen before. Like, I don't know how many people here actually remember Channel Awesome.
Oh yes.
And
I still watch Nostalgia Critics.
oh yeah,
your reviews to this day.
I still watch a lot of the people from that channel. I still watch Nostalgia Critic. I still watch Phalus. I still watch Linkara.
I sometimes still watch Linkara. Like it just depends on the comic he's reviewing. If I find it interesting to watch. But I heard that Linkara has kind of gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs recently.
Well, there was some shit that came out about him, but
yeah,
overall, I mean, like he's still pretty knowledgeable when it comes to comics and everything.
Oh
and,
yeah.
But like Channel Awesome was huge. Like,
oh yeah,
there was a period of time in like the late 2000, like the mid 2000s through like the mid 2010s, where if you were an internet reviewer, like you wanted to give a Channel Awesome, like that was like where you went to.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was just a lot of money issues, a lot of drama involved, and I kind of feel like that's the same thing that's going on with with Comicsgate.
I feel like I think it's because there's no like big boss, in both like like in the early days of Channel Awesome and and also in early CG that because there was no like quote unquote leader or or boss. Like it was just virtual Lord of the Flies. Like there's like no one there to put their foot down and say no.
Yeah. Yo, Dragon Man, what's up?
Dragon Man.
Give me 1 second.
What?
He said give him a second.
The
documentary is great. I'd also suggest Doug Ernst's live stream from yesterday. It covers a lot of shit Ethan has done that I forgot about. We'll check it out some other time. Like, we're just going to get through this. I still got work in the morning, so we're just going to get through this.
Yeah.
Do you guys think this video is a fair recounting of Comicsgate? I missed a lot of CG history, but the video seems very hostile. It is very hostile to a certain extent, but is that completely unwarranted? I don't think so. I think that it's pretty accurate. Now, there's going to be some stuff, especially when we get to the Rippaverse section, that I'm going to disagree with. But I think there's a lot of people siding with the Rippaverse that don't understand some of the darker details going on there. I've said this about like the Kino Casino guys. Like, they defend Eric a lot, but I don't think they really understand everything going on at the Rippaverse. I don't think they have the right information, the right contextualization to the situation. But there's some things in here I disagree with, but overall, I think it's pretty accurate. Michael said it's pretty accurate, but it's missing some stuff. Then again, Ethan has done so much stupid shit that you can't remember it all. Well, yeah, there's only so much that you can talk about. Because like if they went through like every single drama that has happened, like it'll basically be like a 10-hour documentary. Pretty much. The Borg has him. We are the Borg. Resistance is futile.
Resistance is futile. There are only there are 5 lights.
The documentary.
Yes, it does.
It does towards the end. The first half of the documentary is better than the second half for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Wanted to make money selling comics without still being part of the mainstream industry. If you were someone whose main purpose in Comicsgate didn't involve stacking paper to the ceiling, well, Duck to Naple put it best.
I think the problem with Comicsgate was always that it was I've always said this, that it's a brand that pretends to be a movement. It's a business that pretends to be a movement.
Yeah.
All right, yo.
How you doing, Jesker?
I'm good, man. It's been a minute. How you doing?
Man, shit. Got some things going on, man. Back in the gym training, doing, and amongst other things,
All right, cool stuff. Cool stuff. Have you seen this documentary?
Yeah, that caught my attention the other day. And actually was it Reality? Is that her name? She spoke on it for. Oh no! It wasn't her. It was what's her name?
Nerdette.
Nerdette. Yeah, she spoke on it. No, and I watched parts of the video. I didn't see the whole entire documentary. What's going on right here?
They're basically talking about like some of the drama when it came to like the early Comicsgate days, like when Ethan jumped into the movement, talking about like how he hijacked it from like the original founders and kind of became the king of Comicsgate and everything. And again, like there's yeah, and I think, like I said, like I think for the most part this is pretty accurate. There's going to be some things later on that I'm going to disagree with heavily, especially when it comes to Eric July. But there's just been a lot of stuff that's come out about Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah, because like I think I've only started to pay attention when like the Ripperverse stuff started. Like I do remember like the whole Captain Cummings. I used to subscribe to his channel, and watch all his critiques on on the mainstream comics, and then like he just disappeared. And that's when I started to pay attention like a little bit to Comicsgate when when the whole Ripperverse thing started.
Yeah. I was checking out Ethan's stuff probably, let's see what is this, 2024. I probably started checking this stuff out back in 2019, I think. That's when I started getting into like the independent comic scene. But anyways, let's continue.
It's a YouTube fandom that pretends to be about comics, and there's trusting, well-meaning, great creators and backers that think they're contributing to a movement or a cause, and really, it's a compromised business.
This was a few years after he left and eventually disavowed Comicsgate. Now, why would Duck to Naple do that? But don't worry, we're gonna get to it. Now again, the transition from hashtag to brand was just part of what killed early Comicsgate. There were several more steps, and all of them involved Ethan Van Sciver. The first was when a few CGOGs like Doug Ernst and Captain Cummins noticed that gatekeeping was becoming more of a thing in Comicsgate, with the guy everyone seeming to defer to for who's cool and who's not being EVS, who was surprisingly pro-gatekeeping. His logic being that gatekeeping is a problem for SJWs because they're evil, but it's cool when we do it because we gotta keep out those evil SJWs. Captain Cummins in particular wasn't a fan of this growing shift in CG values, and he definitely wasn't a fan of EVS, who's the main source for a lot of it, and he voiced as much both in his videos and in his infamous tweet. Well, at Ethan Van Sciver can keep the money. I don't want a shitty Ninja Turtle ripoff. Do I need to fly down and say it to your face to be a man, or are you just gonna tell me to kill myself? Seems comic pros always end up being the worst people, like DNC has stated multiple times. At the time, everyone thought Captain Cummins was just having a autism fit, going off for no good reason, maybe because he was just jealous that he was now just a commentator in Comicsgate, while Ethan, who came after him, was both a more popular voice in CG as an influencer, and also had the most crowdfunded CG project, Cyberfraud Blood Honey. But looking back, Captain Cummins was really just peeping the bullshit from Ethan Van Sciver several years ahead of everyone else.
Comicsgate is devolving into your typical hierarchical struggle for control and influence. So Captain Cummins is accusing Ethan Van Sciver of being a new gatekeeper of comic books. Yeah, he probably is, actually. Seeing his personality type and looking into what Ethan Van Sciver has done before on Facebook in the groups that he had there, he always tends to end up leading a cult of personality type of situation, with him as the fulcrum and all these different characters then almost sparking from his central Green Lantern battery. So he's found his new group, as Ethan Van Sciver. He's found a new little group to take over, and that group is Comicsgate. And I think what Captain Cummins is doing right now is reacting against a hierarchical, almost natural, organic even, but a takeover nonetheless.
Ethan, with his new circle of comic pro capos, had effectively turned Comicsgate into his own personal internet fiefdom that he would have the most influence over, in which his own platform, Comic Artist Pro Secrets, served as the central hub of. He might not have been officially crowned, but Ethan Van Sciver had become the undeniable king of Comicsgate. But Captain Cummins wasn't going for any of that shit, so he peaced out, nuked his channel of almost all its CG content, and left the movement he started, but had quickly become unrecognizable to him behind. He may have been the first major figure of CG to disavow the movement and bounce, but he wouldn't be the last.
Enter
If
Jim
you look at
Lim.
Comicsgate in 2018, you
Or
would think
Tim
CG was on the
Lim.
road to great things. They had multiple books in the works with crowdfund campaigns that were doing crazy numbers. Their YouTube channels were blowing up like crazy, and articles both pro and anti-CG were popping up and showing the community's growing influence. The sky looked like the limit, but just like Icarus, Comicsgate fell as it was getting too close to the sun. Or rather, the Frog King kept yanking the movement back down to his dirty-ass pond with one drama arc after another. One short but pretty important one was with a guy called Theodore Beale. Beale, better known as Vox Day, the Dark Lord, or Teddy Spaghetti, was a writer and games journalist turned far-right blogger. He's been a veteran of this culture war shit for a good minute, going blow for blow with SJWs in the Gamergate trenches. In fact, he had been publishing comics with right-wing politics long before Comicsgate was a thing, and he claims it was never about money.
You know, I don't own Comicsgate, I don't own Archaven, I don't own Dark Legion, I don't own any of those things. The idea that we are doing this because we think that it is somehow going to make money is amusing.
Which is what every dishonest grifter says while they're grifting. When hashtag Comicsgate got underway, Vox thought his day had come and threw himself into CG's growing roster. He believed that the conservative cultural tidal wave he had been dreaming of was finally coming in, and planned to surf it into a successful crowdfund campaign for his comic, Alt Hero, drawn by Helix Hayes and written by comic industry legend Chuck Dixon. And he succeeded. For a few weeks until Indiegogo shut his campaign down in October. Now, why did they do that? Well, apparently a leftist and dedicated anti-Comicsgater, Jason Youngblood, successfully cucked Vox Day by convincing Indiegogo that Alt Hero supported hate speech and far-right sentiments. Now, it didn't really. Despite what the title might suggest, Alt Hero 1 and 2 were basically Tom Clancy graphic novels. There's nothing politically alt-right about them. But that didn't spare Teddy from getting his spaghetti spilled all over the floor. He would sue Indiegogo over this, but the more annoying legal dispute for him would be over the Comicsgate trademark. See, back in early September of 2018, Vox Day announced that he was starting a new imprint, Comicsgate, and that this imprint would be used to signify that a comic was 100% SJW free. A lot of CGers weren't fans of this move at all, especially Ethan, who had succeeded in turning the Comicsgate hashtag into a brand already, and even had a show, Comicsgate Live, where he would bring other creators on so they could pitch their books to the audience. Vox Day, on the other hand, had literally never used the Comicsgate name for anything up until he announced his imprint, leading people to accuse Vox of infringing on the Comicsgate trademark. Now Vox, with a level of confidence that only a white nationalist / disgruntled games journalist / Gamergate veteran could possess, asserted that he wasn't stepping on any legal toes because the Comicsgate trademark still didn't belong to anyone, since nobody had filed for it yet. Tragically for Vox, a Florida man would cuck him out of his ambitions mid-stride, just like Indiegogo had. Antonio Malpica, a pro CGer who was fundraising for his own comic and was very partial towards Ethan, actually applied to register Comicsgate as a publishing trademark with the intention of giving it to Ethan in the future. It was also brought to Teddy's attention that nobody in CG would want to use his imprint or even be associated with the name Comicsgate anymore if he insisted on using it for his own purposes. Vox tried to go on the offensive against Ethan, calling him two-faced and claiming that he was just fooling everyone else so he could use CG to grift for money. In tonight's Dark Stream, I talked about the panoply of shameless lies Two-Face Van Soyver, aka 2VS, has been caught telling about Comicsgate in the last 24 hours. I also rejected his invitation to go on the show because I don't tolerate or talk to liars. Sooner or later, and judging by the fact that they're still spazzing out on cue, it will be later, his sad little band of comics gatekeepers will realize that he is the scam artist who's been lying to them all along. I pointed out how Two-Face's crowdfunded commission model is totally incapable of revamping the industry because his $12,300 cost per page simply cannot be expanded. He's basically another pinup artist. He's producing 48 pages at 1.87 times the total cost, for which we are producing at least 1,148 pages. We are already employing 20 times more working artists than he is. YouTube-based televangelism is a great personal business, whether you're in comics or self-help, but it's not one that will have much relevance for the industry over time, nor is it capable of transforming it.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
As objectively, factually.
Yeah, let me pause right there. So this, I think, is a really good point to bring up. Is that, and I've said this about Eric July, I've said this about quite a few of the grifters, but it's essentially
televangelism.
And I've gone on rants about televangelists before.
Yeah.
I think televangelists are some of the worst, most scum of the earth people.
Oh, yeah.
They get up here and they're like, Jesus wants you to send in your $100 monthly gift so that I can buy a new plane to spread the gospel message. Come on, little old ladies who are barely surviving on Social Security. Send in that $100 that you could be spending on groceries to nourish your body so that I can get a new plane. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah. I mean, it's like these are some of the most scummiest, dirtiest, fucking horrible people on the planet, and they will burn in hell when they die. All right, let's not get this twisted. Jesse Duplantis, Kenneth Copeland, Joel Osteen, all of these motherfuckers are going to be burning in a devil's hell, and they're going to be saying, Lord, did we not work miracles in your name? And the Lord's going to be depart from me, you worker of iniquity, I never knew you. The same thing applies to all of these fucking grifters, man. they get on here and they want to say it's about a movement. It's about a movement. It's about, it's about fighting against the mainstream.
It's about winning the culture war.
Yeah, send us your money so that we can win the culture war. Send. I guess in the case of Ethan, given what we saw with the drunk stream, it's like send in your money so that I can go out and smoke.
Smoke weed,
maybe weed, and some people saying crack. I don't know, but smoke something with a couple of ugly lesbians. It's like, bro, like I want to pop in there sometime and be like, are we still about comics here? Or I mean, it's about comics in name only. Like I am convinced at this point that when you look at something like Rainbow the Brute, we're never getting it.
Nope.
We're never getting it. It's never happening.
And it's almost like he's like, it also feels like he's trying to be the next, who's that creator of Spawn?
Shit, if you didn't say it, I would have been able to remember it. Creator of Spawn. Dragon Man, who's the creator of Spawn?
Let me see.
Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, because like the way he keeps making toys, and I'm like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to, make yourself like the next Todd McFarlane?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
That's what you guys are saying that Ethan's trying to do.
Well, when you look at it, he's not putting out his comic books. He is putting out toys, but he's not actually putting out any books.
He gets the toys made, faster than his comic.
Yeah.
It's like, I would have, I would advise Ethan, just get someone else to draw it. Maybe someone with a more cartoony style, since it's meant to be a parody, of Rainbow Bright. I don't understand why he has to do it.
Yeah. I mean,
because I know for sure he's not drawing the elephant.
Yeah. Let me catch up with some of the comments here. Captain Cummings went back to college and got a degree, and I think EVS's book was still late by the time he graduated. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Shots fired.
Yo, man, this dude went and got an education, and Ethan's fans are still waiting on a book. They should have picked up a textbook. Daggum. CG was supposed to be a non-political movement, a counter to politics in the mainstream. It turned into a conservative QVC show that sells comics in between political rants. Pretty much. Yeah. My whole thing about it is that, and Ethan used to say this in the very early days of Comicsgate. He used to say, like, I don't care what your politics are, I'm against cancel culture. I'm like, okay, good shit. But now it's really become a situation to where if you don't agree with Ethan politically, or if you don't agree with Ethan on drama issues, like if you have a different take from him, then all of a sudden, like, oh, you're not part of this movement. It's like, well, I thought this was supposed to be apolitical, Ethan. Like, what happened?
What happened to your Comicsgate? Whether you think you are or not.
Yeah, I thought the whole point was to push back against cancel culture and the suppression of free speech, not against railing against one side of the political aisle or the other. Because isn't that the same thing that DC did to you?
Yep. And
oh wow, that's what he. Wait, that's what I thought it was. I thought that's what I thought. Comic. So
it
you don't
was. It was
because I'm kind of surprised that I thought Ethan was the founder of Comicsgate.
No, there was people before him. The difference was that Ethan was like the first professional artist to come into Comicsgate.
Yeah. And he was so charismatic, that all of Comicsgate, just got drawn to him, and he gained the most influence.
But he did say in the early days, he said, look, like this is like, you can be on the left, you can be on the right when it comes to politics.
We're gonna take the moral high ground.
Yeah, it was basically like the whole point of Comicsgate was supposed to be no cancel culture, no suppression of free speech. And I'm like, okay, that's good shit. Like that, we should all want that. But
just
now,
waiting.
Wow.
Just wait until we get to the Tim Lim stuff.
yeah, nowadays it's just if you disagree with him on any little thing, like boom, he goes after you.
I think today, Ethan's attitude is that like if he can't use you for clout and if you are not going to be 110% loyal to him, then he's got no use for you.
Pretty much. They really talk about comics.
But he's never going to allow you to be. He's never going to allow you to join the cool kids table.
Well, how many members are in Comicsgate, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it depends on what you mean by members.
Do you mean people actually making comics, or do you just mean people that are like heavily tied to Ethan?
The latter.
A lot. I mean, there's Ethan. Well, obviously Ethan, but there's also like Shane Davis,
John Malin.
You
Shane,
get
did we say Shane Davis?
Yeah, Shane Davis.
I think
Cecil,
Liam.
Is Cecil still tied into Comicsgate?
I think he still is. I think he sometimes still comes on like his Comicsgate streams.
Yeah. Now, wasn't there like a breakup, like some kind of drama with Star Wars girl?
Wow, really?
I don't know. I don't really keep up. I
think that's what I heard. Like she invited everybody from Comicsgate to her wedding, and they didn't show up.
Oh no, I thought it was.
Oh shit.
Oh no, I thought it was that most of them showed up. And someone was like just talking shit or something.
I thought it was most of them didn't. I think Shane Davis showed up, but I think a lot of them didn't, and she was like really hurt by that.
Well, first of all, why do you invite internet strangers to your wedding?
That's a weird thing. Like, man, I mean, listen, I love y'all and everything, but dadgum, I ain't got the kind of money to travel across the country at a just on a whim. That's kind of crazy. But what the fuck happened?
Yeah, you were kind of like cutting out for a bit.
Okay, yeah, my bad.
Oh no, we lost Dragon.
He'll hop back in, but it may be the weather. We've had storms here like crazy.
Yeah, we just have just some rain and that's it.
Ethan did say he wanted to be like Todd when he first got into making action figures. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I've actually seen the Cyberfrog figures; they're really high quality.
Yeah,
but it's not called Toygate; it's called Comicsgate.
Yeah, and he spends way too much time on that. It's like, it's like if I wanted to make statues or figurines, of my characters, I just wait until my series gets popular enough to do it.
Bingo. That stuff comes after the series takes off.
Yeah. But he's like literally he's really putting the cart before the horse.
Pretty much. Michael says it was supposed to be about making great comics without pushing an agenda and respecting the customer. He shed all over that. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, like when you're not getting your comic, when you're taking as long as he does to get your books out, that's really disrespectful to the customer. Like, wait until you're ready for this shit to go out. Like I said, at most a year.
Yeah.
True as Vox Day's words were, they fell on deaf ears. Nobody in CG really gave a fuck about what he had to say. For pretty good reasons, let's be fair. And EVS managed to effectively gatekeep him out of the movement.
Now, Vox Day's alt hero Q has nothing to do with Comicsgate. It isn't Comicsgate. He's not associated with me or anyone that I know of within Comicsgate.
This was the last cuckening Vox Day would suffer before leaving the movement. Well, it's more like he got the door shut in his face. But whatever, that nigga hit the road. He would change his Comicsgate imprint to Arxhaven, and that was that. Ethan successfully bashed the Fash and put that punk bitch-ass Nazi in his place for trying to co-opt the Comicsgate hashtag just to make money. But Mikey, didn't Ethan co-opt the Comicsgate hashtag and use it to make money? Yes, that is exactly what he did. What Vox Day tried to do, Ethan had already done, which is why Vox was so confused why everyone else in Comicsgate was so mad at him. And also why, besides not wanting CG's reputation to be affiliated with someone like Theodore Beale, why Ethan was so mad at him. Because Vox was strolling through his hood without checking in and potentially fucking up his money. But why did most of CG not have a problem with Ethan doing the same thing Vox Day was trying to do? Oh, that's easy. It's because Theodore Beale is a pseudo-intellectual wingcuck with zero charisma, while Ethan is a witty showman with charisma out the ass. Vox Day versus EVS was basically the real-life equivalent of the Virgin versus Chad meme. So EVS...
Did I not just say that earlier?
Yeah.
I mean, that it really does come down to charisma. Like, and again, I will reiterate this shit. This country, the people in this country are obsessed with personality and charisma.
Yeah.
You can get away and get by with so many things just because you're charismatic.
Yep.
For example, I have murdered untold numbers of people, but because I'm a charismatic, likable dude, no one has ever caught me for it.
Yeah.
Wait, are we still live?
Fuck. Yeah, it should be.
Fuck.
Oh, wait, it's not live? Oh shit!
No, we're live, but I just admitted to multiple murders live on the internet.
Oh.
I'm going to jail, man. I can't go to prison. You know what'll happen to me in prison? Somebody's gonna be like, "You got a cute little mouth, boy." Oh God!
Fuck her up, baby.
Tonight you're gonna be my wife.
I'm gonna call you Stacy.
That's not my name.
That was the name of my ex-girlfriend that I killed. Is that why you're here? Yeah.
Oh shit. I had a Ricada moment. Imagine having a Ricada moment. It's like, why is my mic not muted?
Oh no.
It's like, oh fuck. All right, let's continue. I got to get through this before I'm arrested.
But Vox Day wouldn't be the last guy he tried to gatekeep from CG in 2018. The next most prominent case would be Timothy Lim. Tim Lim might be the most hardworking artist in modern American comics, originally gaining popularity with some well-received Trump parody books, Thump and My Hero Macadamia around, and shortly after the 2016 election, he moved on to less election-themed books like Black Ops, and then in 2020, the breakout success, Common America. But before that, back in 2018, he was just another conservative comic creator caught up in the momentum of hashtag Comicsgate. Tim was an early Comicsgate supporter and was already gaining a lot of popularity in the scene without even needing much of a YouTube presence or getting any shine from Ethan Van Sciver, something that was damn near unprecedented. He did eventually end up getting attention from Ethan, but not the type he wanted. It was during a big stream in July of 2018 that Ethan and Tim talked to each other for the first time. Before they could exchange words, Ethan was doing what he did best, blabbering.
I'm not the leader of Comicsgate. When I say that's not what I want, that doesn't mean that's what it's gonna be. Somebody just asked me my opinion about it.
Hear that? Uncle Ethan's not the Kang of Comicsgate. We know he's not because he keeps telling us. And you can take Uncle E at his word, which is exactly what Tim Lim did.
I know where Captain Cummings is coming from because of an exchange. I found out about it the day after it happened, and it was transmitted to me by several people, and they wanted to know my opinion on it. So I have the transcript right here, and I'd like to read it to you.
Tim took Ethan so much at his word that he brought the transcript of a previous stream and repeated Ethan's words back to him verbatim.
And this is what it says. I said to Zach, and I said to all of them, quote, stop making these Trump comics. Stop. I think Chuck is working on some Trump in space book. Look, it's not 2016 anymore. Where Captain Cummings is coming from is that statement of, I said to all of them. And that's not true.
Right, because, okay.
He revealed that Ethan was sneak dissing him in his books and said that he had shared these sentiments with Meyer and the others. But Tim talked to the others in Comicsgate, and nobody could confirm that story. Now, Ethan claimed that he didn't know that Mark Pellegrini and Tim Lim were working on a specific Trump book he was talking about. But there were only like 4 niggas making Trump books at the moment, one of them being Tim Lim, who worked on Thump, My Hero Macadamia, and his future campaign, Trump Space Force. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mikey, Ethan already knew about Trump Space Force and that Chuck Dixon was working on it. So how could he know that Chuck was writing the book, but not that Tim Lim was drawing it? That's a good question.
Hold up. How did he get away with making a book called My Hero Macadamia and not get sued by Shonen Jump?
I think it's because Trump's character name is Walmite. Because it was meant to be like a parody of both both Trump and My Hero Academia, which was like a very popular like superhero manga at the time.
Well, I know that, but my point is, why did they never sue him over that?
I guess it's because of like American copyright laws. That like that we have a right to make parodies.
That's true, and I see what Michael's saying. It's a parody, but my point is that the Japanese don't fuck around like that.
Well, yeah, but I think it's because like it's an American-made comic. It's like it's an American comic. So American rules.
Listen, man. I'm just saying, if I was the Japanese, I would take this to international court and I would sue a motherfucker.
Yes, sir, but it's got Trump on it, so I like it.
I would say to hell with it. I want my money. Yeah, I just to me, like, there's parody, but like that's dangerously close to lawsuit levels.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do something like that.
Yeah, no, that's look, I mean, when you deal with a lot of the intellectual properties that a lot of these Japanese they take the shit serious, bro. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's because in Japan, like, there are actually no copyright laws, like what we have in America.
I mean, that'd be like if I came out with something and I called it Dragon Cube Z. It's like, okay, wait a minute, hold up now. Like we're walking on some thin ice right here. Like Akira Toriyama's family is about to sue my ass. Somebody's going to knock on the door at 3:00 in the morning. I'm going to open it, and there's going to be a Japanese guy there with a katana, dressed in the finest suit, wearing sunglasses, in the middle of the fucking night wearing sunglasses, the fucking Yakuza. And he's going to be like, oh, you insulted the memory of Akira Toriyama by stealing his shit. Prepare to die. It's like going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's talk about this like civilized gentlemen. Like, come on now.
It's just a parody, man. Can't you take a joke?
There's no Japanese word for parody, you son of a bitch.
Well, then I guess George Lucas, should have, sued the crap out of Spaceballs.
Yeah, but that's a little. That's not as. I mean, it's. First of all, it doesn't technically use the word star or wars in the title.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it's I would say that's different enough. But when I hear My Hero Macadamia, I'm like, that is really fucking close to lawsuit level.
Wow, really? My Hero Macadamia.
Yes,
come on,
bro. I'm just saying, if I was Shonen Jump, man, I would be like, you know what? We might lose this case, but we could also make a shit ton of money. Let's sue these motherfuckers. I mean, I would seriously that's just me. But then again, I just might be a greedy, shallow piece of shit. Speaking of greedy, shallow pieces of shit, let us continue.
One that Ethan struggled on this stream to come up with an answer for. Honestly, all this, we don't need these political Trump books, and CG talk of EVS just came off as kinda gatekeeperish. And not for the more justifiable reasons he had with Vox Day. This just seemed really petty. In fact, this might all seem like petty stuff to you. You might even think Tim was being a little oversensitive for bringing this up during his and EVS's very first interaction with each other. But this little interaction meant a whole lot to Ethan. Timothy Lim had broken one of the unspoken rules of Comicsgate. A rule that's obvious to everyone in CG now, but wasn't as obvious back in 2018. He called out Ethan on stream for lying and made him look stupid. Ethan couldn't even argue because Tim was literally using his own words against him. He apologized and essentially bent the knee to Tim. Timothy Lim made Ethan Van Sciver kneel in their very first interaction with each other. Nah, this seemingly petty interaction stuck with Ethan. The Frog King wasn't going to let Tim just go out and live his regular life after this, because Ethan was gatekeeping. Tim was making these Trump-themed books and giving outsiders the impression that Comicsgate was a pro-MAGA movement, while Ethan was trying to keep CG as politically neutral as possible. Right-leaning centrist at the absolute most. Desperate to rid himself of this meddlesome Asian Trump supporter from Arkansas who made the movement look a little too conservative for Ethan's taste, and who had also bitched him on stream in front of everyone. everybody, EVS would dip into gay ops territory for the first time. But Ethan was smart enough to know that he couldn't get his own hands dirty and make it too obvious that he was trying to get rid of Tim. So he would lean on what was essentially a shitposter task force made up of fans on the fringe of Comicsgate who would engage in all the psychological warfare that Comicsgate proper couldn't do without fucking up their optics. Still, they would be pro-CG and, most importantly, pro-Ethan Van Sciver. The name of this group was War Campaign.
And here we go.
Yeah, now this is where shit starts to hit the fan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I mean, this is because the War Campaign, and I didn't know this lore until fairly recently, but fuck it. Let's just go. Let's just go.
Before we do that, like I've always hated, like in the live stream, whenever they do like hail or hail Caesar in the chat, like I always thought that was stupid.
Well, at least it's not Heil, but let's let's continue.
Isn't that not the same thing?
Huh?
Isn't that not the same thing?
No, you gotta say it like a German. Heil.
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 They both use the Roman salute.
Don't tell the Catholic Church that.
Joke's on them. I'm a Protestant. I'm a filthy Protestant bastard.
Yeah, you part of Oliver Cromwell, Zilk. That's what you are. I'm probably, I mean, I'm not officially a part of this denomination, but I wouldn't be Protestant or Catholic. I'm going to go real old school and say that if there was a church nearby, I would be an Orthodox Christian.
I actually don't. Okay, so I don't really give myself a denominational label. Like I would probably consider myself non-denominational, but the church I go to, that most closely resembles to what I believe in is probably Baptist.
If there was a church nearby, because the nearest Orthodox church is like an hour away. But if there was one a little bit closer, I would probably go and become part of the Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
No, I'm not bullshitting. Ethan Van Sciver really had his own personal internet troll army called War Campaign, led by a coked-up Canadian with a talent for getting in the internet drama. Oh, wait, that's the wrong Canadian. That one's sober, and I'd be surprised if Roe had been substance-free for even a full month in the past 6 years.
I made my way up through the ranks, motherfucker. Taking out opponents. Gay op by gay op. Motherfucker, first thing I did, handpick selection. Men from the peasantry. Men who I can trust, you understand? Got some leverage over them. So a little bit of down picks, a little bit of tank picks. Boom. We went in and we said, all right, let's do this. Who wants to fuck shit up, motherfuckers?
He was the undisputed leader of War Campaign and the most loyal member of Ethan's Legion.
Hello, my name is Praetorian. You may know me as a former member of the Inner Circle of War Campaign. Here you can see that Ro says I'm an integral member of War Campaign. At the very head you have Ro Kabir Kumar, who is the absolute undisputed leader of War Campaign. Things run like this. It goes through Ethan Van Sciver most times, to Ro, to the Inner Circle, and then from the Inner Circle it'll go out. War Campaign doesn't like people who criticize Ethan Van Sciver.
That man made a motherfucking graph. he made a motherfucking graft. That's crazy, man. But dedication. Hold on, have I liked this video? Yes, I have. Okay, good. I'm just making sure.
Like this is basically where Ethan, truly became like an internet mob boss. Hey, I don't like what this guy is saying. Go take care of him.
Yeah, pretty much. He was like, look, there's some people saying some very nasty things about Comicsgate. Tonight, I want you to make sure that they're sleeping with the fishes.
Make sure you take very good care of them.
All right.
At all. If you are critical of Ethan Van Sciver, you are immediately a War Campaign side.
That's not me making a joke, by the way. These dudes literally LARPed as Roman legionaries and hailed Ethan Van Sciver as their Caesar.
Hail Caesar, hail Caesar, hail Caesar, hail Caesar, hail Caesar.
Oh, I know you pressed play on this video expecting insanity and brain rot to be gradually introduced. Nah. Even back in 2018, when Comicsgate was still a young and healthy movement, we already had this level of autism pumping through this community's veins. And again, this was all just to get rid of Tim Lim.
That War Campaign is a collection of your fans. I mean, this is really where it started, Caesar. This is, I mean, you know it. We wouldn't be on the internet otherwise. I don't think we would have started a channel.
Well, you just brought up Tim Lim. Tim Lim's the whole reason why we fought.
While War Campaign would eventually succeed in their original mission of getting Tim to fuck off, it wouldn't be through any direct attacks on him. Tim would leave CG of his own accord after War Campaign claimed the scalp of a co-creator of his, a fellow CG affiliate who would also become a bit of a thorn in Caesar's side. Nurkish. Now, Nurkish wasn't CG per se. By his own admission, he was only Comicsgate adjacent at best.
You were involved with some Comicsgate-y stuff, right?
I guess I was involved with it and that I knew people.
Okay, so Nurkish's avatar, like this was clearly way before Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah. Well, that's probably what his avatar is now. That's probably not what it was back then.
Yeah. Oh, it is today.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because that video, because like it kind of implied that like that was his avatar back then.
Nah, so this motherfucker can see the future. He's a psychic. I don't know why he's in comics if that's the case.
Okay.
People who discovered my stuff were in Comicsgate. I just wanted to make fun of woke. I don't like woke stuff. I think it's funny. I think it's cringe. And then I got lumped in with them. But once they wanted me to like carry a cross, I was like, I don't give a fuck about this stuff. He didn't really care about comics or any culture war nonsense at all, really. But he did like making videos talking about stupid shit. And modern comics had plenty of that. On a side note, did you know that Mags has a GoFundMe to get fake tits? Here's my question. Why do you need fake tits when you already have them from being fat? A lot of the CG community liked Nurkish's content. He even was occasionally brought on Ethan's stream along with Cecil, who was a CG member, whenever EVS needed some chaotic energy. There was even a comic in the works between the two, with art being done by Tim Lim. Now, there was one problem. Nurkish was a little too edgy for Ethan's taste. More precisely, Nurkish's Discord was a little too edgy.
He's got this Discord where he's a free speech absolutist and he could absolutely let these people in. I started to receive pictures of his Discord of an extreme, and when I say extreme, I have a good sense of humor, extreme anti-Semitic material.
Now, Nurkish didn't really control or even contribute that much to his Discord. He popped in a few times to talk, but for the most part, it was just a Discord server with his name on it that he didn't have a whole lot to do with. And because Nurkish is such an adamant free speech advocate, something he naively assumed most of CG were, he never bothered to moderate and just let the guys there make whatever edgy memes they wanted to when he wasn't around. Then, returning to the stage for a second time, entered Jason Youngbluth. According to Ethan's sources, Youngbluth, along with other dyed-in-the-wool anti-CG SJWs like Rentfamous, had peeked inside the Discord, saw it was a disgusting bed of Nazis, and somehow these SJWs managed to get Nurkish's docs.
I start to receive word that Nurkish is about to be doxxed by the same people that kind of hang out with Rentfamous. And I get very concerned because Nurkish's privacy is important.
And they threatened they would drop it if Nurkish didn't shut the Discord server down. Man, that's crazy. That anyone bought this bullshit story from Ethan 6 years ago. Like, are you serious right now, bro? So let me get this straight, Ethan. There are these anti-CG SJWs who managed to get Nurkish's docs out of nowhere, and they want to drop it because of some edgy jokes in his Discord. Rather than dox this guy they believe to be a Nazi immediately and further validate their claims of Comicsgate being full of far-right Nazi chuds, they sit on it and say they won't put it out if Nurkish just shuts down his Discord. They want this alleged Nazi to get rid of the Discord with all the evidence of the alleged Nazism they're trying to expose him for, and somehow it was you, Ethan, who just happened to catch wind of all of this ahead of literally everyone else, including Nurkish?
Jason Youngbluth and people around him were threatening to dox Nurkish and then tie him to me and Comicsgate, and thus successfully bring down our Indiegogo platform.
Ethan, I know you're a comic illustrator and not a comic writer, but come on, bro, you gotta be able to come up with a better narrative than this. Was it really the SJWs who were raising a ruckus about Nurkish's Discord? Or was it you who knew from what happened with Vox Day's campaign that vindictive SJWs like Rentfamous or Jason Youngbluth to get Indiegogo to take down the campaigns of supposedly far-right creators? And you, who have become hyper-vigilant about anything in or adjacent to Comicsgate that could be classified as too far to the right, had War Campaign fetch Nurkish's docs, pass it on to the SJWs in question, and then gave Nurkish an ultimatum in the form of a friendly suggestion to either get with the program and get rid of his Discord or kick rocks down the street. These are obviously all rhetorical questions because a former member of War Campaign literally confirmed everything I just said.
Here you can clearly see that Han and Gat are talking about Comicsgate Anonymous. That was an operation that we ran to go ahead and expose the Nurkish server and to run Nurkish out of Comicsgate, or in an attempt to. We didn't want to be have these attached to our main account, so we went ahead and made a alt called Comicsgate Anonymous, and we went ahead and ran ops, leaked that shit to Rentfamous in the hopes that they would take the story and run with it.
Nurkish was the first real in-group casualty of War Campaign, and this little Discord drama, as small as it was, really was the point of no return for early CG. EVS was now starting to move like he was some indie comic dictator, complete with sycophantic followers and secret police in the form of autistic shitposters who LARP like they were members of a Roman legion.
There are people who think I'm ordering War Campaign, and that's why this meeting exists right now. I want to make it clear that, War Campaign A does not represent me, not one bit. And I am unaware of, and I do not ever, and have never asked War Campaign to do anything to somebody else, ever.
And people keep saying stuff like, we were never told what to do, we were never told what to do. I was in so many Ethan would get mad and pull us in a Discord, and yeah, he'd definitely start telling us what we can and can't do. And then if someone starts breaking the rules, then you get row down your throat.
Looks like Captain Cummins was on to something when he called the human sunbeam out his name earlier. OG Comicsgate was dead, and in its place stood Comicsgate 2.0. The hashtag had successfully been co-opted and monetized by Ethan Van Skype. Ethan also finally managed to get rid of Tim Lim. After Nurkish got snaked on and bailed on the cash grab project, Tim followed suit and left CG to focus on his own future projects with Mark Pellet Pellegrini. This would be a blessing in disguise for Tim and Mark, as they would go on to make a campaign for their successful comic series, Common America, and also found their own comic book print, Iconic Comics. The OGs of Comicsgate also weren't having it, and unlike Tim, who just quietly packed his bags and headed out the door, they raised a bit of a fuss before they dipped out.
Comicsgate, it was a grassroots consumer movement, and for a while it was just simply based on this understanding that mainstream American superhero comics, that they were just really bad, that they were just really mediocre, and that's how it came together. I think that what's gone wrong in the past couple of months is that it has just literally become all about these crowdfunding campaigns. It's literally become solely about making money, and not so much about pointing these things out and holding people to account and holding for professionalism. Ethan Van Sciver said multiple times that he just really wants to be left alone to make a Cyberfrog comic, which is great. But the problem is that so often it seems like people have to basically go to Ethan Van Sciver to get approval. It seems like that he is the de facto leader of Comicsgate, right, which used to be a leaderless movement, and it seems like that he has used his power more than once to basically choose who he does and doesn't want in this movement. I mean, he's done it to Tim Lim basically twice. First with the Trump Space Force thing, where he said he just didn't flat out want that, and then recently with this cash grab thing, where Nurkic was trying to distance himself from this, and according to EBS, according to you, Ethan Van Sciver, on your stream that you did, you flat out went to him and said, "Your Comicsgate, whether you want to be or not, because it looks bad on me, then I can't have this associated with me." So if that's what Comicsgate is or isn't now, that it's whatever makes EBS look good or look bad, well, that's not a grassroots consumer movement anymore.
In the eyes of many of CG's old...
shout out to Nick Rekieta. Have fun in prison. Anyways, here's kind of the conundrum that you have with Comicsgate. So Comicsgate started out as this thing where you're going to have people that are freely and independently, creating comics. They're not really tied down. They're not really, they're not under the umbrella of a corporation. Cool. Here's the thing, though. Nowadays, if you want to get your shit published through Comicsgate, you have to do it through Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah. Or if you want your comics to get, you want to get your comics or your campaign to be promoted, it has to go through Ethan.
Right. So here's the thing. Are you really independent if you're dependent on
someone
person?
Else? Yeah.
Whether it be a corporation or a single individual, that's not really independence now, is it?
Yeah. That's why I don't claim myself to be Comicsgate.
I don't either. I've said before, like at best, at most, I would be considered Comicsgate adjacent, but I've never really been like a part of Comicsgate. I have friendships with people that are in Comicsgate. I've even been in a couple of streams with Ethan himself back when I was going on Frog Tony's channel. Like he would pop in there sometimes and I've talked to him. But as far as like being like in the hardcore movement, like, oh, I'm showing up on Trashcast and Comicsgate Kings and stuff. I've never been, oh God, excuse me, I'm starting to yawn. I've never been like that deep into the weeds when it comes to Comicsgate. So at most, I think you could say that I'm Comicsgate adjacent. But even at this point, I wouldn't even go that far because I've been distancing myself so much from the movement, other than people that I know are part of the movement that I'm just really cool with on a personal level.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it more for those people and less for the movement of Comicsgate. Like I'm not like when I come out with this, first of all, the book I'm writing is not a comic book. It's just a book. It's just a novel. And like I don't plan to go on. Well, I would say after this, like probably Ethan wouldn't have me on his show, but I'm not planning to go on his show to be like, hey guys, buy my book, crowdfund. Oh my God, I'm sleepy. I'm starting to get sleepy. Sorry guys. Like crowdfund my book. Like, I'm kissing Ethan's ring. Like, come on. Like, I'm not going to do that shit. Like,
no.
If you like the idea, if you like the story, buy the fucking book. Otherwise, don't.
And that's also a problem that I have with Comicsgate is that, like, okay, why are people buying Cyberfrog? Is it really because they think Cyberfrog is a good story? Or is it that they're buying Cyberfrog because they like Ethan?
I think they're buying it because they like Ethan. Although,
yeah,
to be said, like what has come out with Cyberfrog so far, it's a good story. The concept is cool. The character is cool. I mean, this idea of like this weird amorphous alien thing taking on the form of a frog, like it's an interesting concept. It's cool. But again, like, is that really, like, even if the story is good, is that why people are buying it? No, they're buying it because they like Ethan.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why they're buying the Rippaverse stuff. Why his people are buying his stuff. They don't give a shit about. Yeah, they don't give a shit about Isom. They don't give a shit about the Rippaverse. They give a shit about Eric.
Yeah.
Ethan is the product. Eric is the product, not the comics.
Yeah.
Which again goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of the stream, which is that comic books are niche.
Yep.
If I was an indie creator, I would not label myself or my IP Comicsgate because Ethan owns the trademark. What's to stop him from taking IPs that are Comicsgate? That's true. I would not. I'm not sticking that label on my book.
That's a nice keen of justice you got there. Be a shame if if someone took the IP, since your Comicsgate.
Here, Andrew. I made you a pie. It's poison berry.
It's totally not poison, and there's a little note inside. That's it. Little note inside. I now have your comic IP, bitch.
It's not. I didn't poison the pie. It's just poison berry. Don't worry about it. I don't call myself CG. That name is associated with late books and retardation.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've been talking about. I'm not going to say his name on stream because I don't want. This is private DMs. I don't want this shit coming out publicly. But I was talking about someone who's a mutual associate of ours who has been on the stream before. And honest to God, the movement CG is dying. Like, let's be real here. In 10 years, do we think that CG is going to exist?
Nah.
No.
Everybody's just gonna move on.
It's a better story than Isom, but it's not really that good. Talking about Cyberfrog, I like the concept of Cyberfrog. Like, I don't think it's a terrible story. The problem is, it's that it's never gonna finish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, you know what I kind of take the approach like Ethan's stuff. Like, it's cool, but I look at it kind of like I do Hunter x Hunter, which is Hunter x Hunter is a really good fucking story. But I still like Togashi's other story, Yu Yu Hakusho, better. And the reason why is because Hunter x Hunter is never going to have a fucking ending.
Yeah. Like it's never going to have like an actual ending. Like, he's literally not going to finish it.
Yes. Like, in some ways Togashi's Togashi's is a bit more understandable because the Japanese manga industry is like works people to death, but Togashi has got major back problems. I mean, he has to get his wife, who by the way is the mangaka of Sailor Moon.
Yeah,
he has to get his wife to help him get on and off the toilet. That's how bad that's how bad his back problems is. It's like, and like, because of that, and I love Togashi to death, but because of that, I know he's never going to finish this thing.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like, his health just won't allow it. But he's stubborn. He won't let somebody else do it. And it's like, bro, listen, just write the damn story and let your wife draw the book. She's literally the mangaka of Sailor Moon. I know she's got the talent. Let her draw the damn book.
Or at least, like, just go the Toriyama route. Where you find somebody, that's able to match your style.
Yeah, I mean, it drives me up a fucking wall because it's not like he's some no-name author. It's fucking Yoshihiro Togashi, the guy that came up with Yu Yu Hakusho, the guy that's been doing Hunter x Hunter. Like, these are two of the biggest manga series in history, and it's like, bro, I know you can do the Toriyama route, so fucking do it, or else your shit's never getting done.
No, it has to be me. It's my mangaka pride.
It's like, well, you know what? Pride always comes before a fall. And in the case of Togashi, one day that's going to be a fall he doesn't get back up from.
Yep.
Because Mother Nature and Father Time are unbeaten.
Yep.
The customer numbers are dropping across the biggest CG creators with each new campaign. People have moved on. I think the last, I want to say like the last 2 years have been absolutely devastating for Comicsgate. And I think especially this year has been really bad for Comicsgate for a number of reasons. But yeah, let's continue.
Guard, like Unranked Chevron, Ingleteen of I Love Comics, and Captain Cummings, the leaderless consumer movement they have founded had been subverted and turned into a hierarchical business model with stringent gatekeeper-like tendencies and internal politics that looked a whole lot like the industry they were originally railing against. Looked like you can take the comic pro out of the industry, but you couldn't take the industry out of the comic pro, because these dudes brought a whole lot of garbage from the industry along with them. And they cultivated a new culture in CG that completely sidelined its early principles. This new culture's main goal wasn't so much critiquing and trying to enact change in the comic industry as it was making Ethan Van Sciver and his friends a lot of money. And anyone who got in the way of that, intentionally or unintentionally, was not a friend of Ethan Van Sciver. And if you weren't a friend of Ethan Van Sciver and Comicsgate going forward, well, you could go fuck yourself. Between
And
2017
here
and
comes the best
2018,
part.
Comicsgate seemed unstoppable. Anti-CG were losing their fucking minds because they couldn't stop the momentum. And all these Comicsgate campaigns were printing so much greenery. You would think Jerome Powell was running Indiegogo. What nobody knew was that this golden age of CG was going to be very short-lived. The first of many major headaches actually originated back in 2018 for Richard C. your boy Zach Meyer, a veteran of the Marine Corps and one of the founding fathers of Comicsgate. Now, despite being treated as Comicsgate's Moses, Meyer was never officially a part of the movement. This never stopped Ethan from encouraging other CG pros to keep working with Meyer and encouraging his fans to keep supporting Meyer's campaigns and generally just globbing and glazing your boy to completion. Now back
let me say this real quick. Your boy Zach is one of the most brutally honest and legit people in independent comics.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking adore that dude and his channel. And he's one there's a few people on this platform that I really want to get them on a live stream. Either on this channel, I mean, I would prefer them to come on this channel so I can get the name recognition on the channel and get some more subs in. Or fuck it, I'll go on their channel and get subs that way. But regardless, I want to have a conversation with certain people that I think have a unique perspective. I think are really just fucking legit and honest. One of them is Lofty Pixels, who has been on a hiatus from social media in general for the last few months. One of them's Lofty Pixels. The other one is your boy Zach. Like, I'd really love to sit down and have a conversation with him. But the dude is so fucking elusive.
Yeah.
Like, he does not get, I don't remember the last time he got into somebody's stream. Like, he posts his videos and then he moves the fuck on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I've also heard that, like, you know, that like he's kind of gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs as of late.
I mean, I've seen some of his takes. I think he's just being honest in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
People don't always want to hear it. People don't like it, but he's honest. He's honest.
Yeah, but like, it's been so long, you know, since I've watched any of his videos, so I don't really know.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
In May of 2018, your boy hit a little chrome dome-shaped speed bump named Mark Waid, a distinguished comic writer who had an almost religious hatred of Comicsgate and anyone affiliated with it. So when Waid learned that Meyer and Malin's book, Jawbreaker's Lost Souls, was going to be published by San Antonio-based comic publisher Antarctic Press, he sent what was essentially a Taliban night letter to Antarctic, warning that if they published Meyer's book, Waid and the other pros in the industry would slander and struggle session the shit out of their business for working with a racist, hate-filled, foaming-at-the-mouth Nazi like Richard C. Meyer. This assertion of Wade's that Meyer was a Nazi or racist was kind of insane, considering that his favorite comic book character is a nigga on a skateboard, and all of his kids are mixed. Regardless of the absurdity of Wade's claim, his intimidation tactic was super effective, and Antarctic Press dropped Meyer's book, stopping Jawbreakers from making it onto shelves. Your boy wasn't standing for that shit, and launched a lawsuit against Waid in late September for torturous interference, to the applause of the rest of the CG community that he wasn't a part of. Granted, not everyone in Comicsgate was so eager to support Meyer in his lawsuit. Some, like Douglas Ernst, a fellow U.S. military veteran, even tried to warn Meyer beforehand about what he predicted would just be a considerable strain of Meyer's time, money, and mental health. But your boy persisted. Honestly, Antarctic dropping Meyer would be more of a blessing than a curse, because he would receive a new wave of financial support for his current book, his future projects, and his legal funds. In spite of the lawsuit and the bad press, Comicsgate's momentum didn't seem like it was going to stop anytime soon. But then, something really problematic happened. Something that almost no one in Comicsgate seemed prepared for. The time came for them to actually deliver their books. Of the myriad issues that would plague Comicsgate, the most damaging from a purely business standpoint was the late fulfillment of books. Taking tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars from backers and then taking forever to fulfill became the rule rather than the exception in Comicsgate. A lot of guys didn't fulfill their campaigns at all.
All I know about Comicsgate is it's really obvious a lot of people are making like a lot of money. Like you see like one comic book is like hitting $500,000 and others hitting like 80,000 and 40,000, like you guys are doing gangbusters, right?
That's right.
So you're going to have a ton of people coming in who might be, have ulterior motives or might see an easy payday, looking to shill some stuff and try to make a quick buck.
Little did Jim realize that he was preaching to a den of heathens, most of whom would become the very bad apples he was warning them about. Even Ethan, the king of Comicsgate himself, would be very late fulfilling his first book, Cyberfrog Blood Honey, which was supposed to be in the backers' hands by November of 2018, but wasn't actually fulfilled until December of 2019. Matter of fact, let me just go through a list of CG affiliated creators who launched campaigns before 2020 and were behind schedule with fulfillment. I'm going to be nice to your boy Zach and exclude Jawbreaker's Lost Souls because he actually had an excuse for his book being late. Well, for his first book being late. Monster MD by Von Klaus, due early 2020, fulfilled April 2021, 1 year late. Cyberfrog Blood Honey by Ethan Van Sciver, due November 2018, fulfilled December 2019, 1 year and 1 month late. Long Harbor by Alejandro Mirabel, due February 2020, fulfilled July 2021, 1 year and 5 months late. Brutus the Badass by Donald DeLay, due April 2019, fulfilled April 2021, 2 years late. Red Rooster Golden Age by Mitch and Elizabeth Breitweiser, due March 2019, fulfilled April 2021, 2 years and 1 month late. Brand by Antonio Bryce and Cannon White, due January 2019, fulfilled April 2021, 2 years and 3 months late. Deathsworn by Carl O'Rowe, due April 2019, fulfilled April 2023, 3.5 years late. Doomkicker by Elliot Hernandez, due February 2020, fulfilled never, 4 years and 9 months late and counting. Dead Detective Red Crimson by Antonio Malpica and Shinobi Sasquatch by Kyle Jameson, both due October 2019, both fulfilled never, both 5 years late and counting.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
That's
horrible.
5 years and
That
5
is
months
criminal.
late and counting. And finally, Conflict Clause Out by James Dean Anderson, due April 2019, fulfilled never, 5.5 years late and counting. The crazy thing about James's book being over half a decade late is that he's still working in CG under Ethan Van Sciver.
I have the line 'em up Tommy gun.
Well, how is he still working on it to do
Anderson,
that?
who created the Rainbow the Brute logo.
Yeah, okay, pause right here.
Line them up on the barrel to be in Rainbow the Brute font. So
yeah.
Yeah, so he's got time for cigar chomping, pot of gold, line them up toys, but he doesn't have enough time for Cyberfrog. But he doesn't have like a full-time job to go to.
Why doesn't he get the fucking books out and then do all this other shit connected to it later?
I was recently watching a video by Big Daddy where the video was called like the it's called the State of Comicsgate 2024, and he makes a good point that the reason why it takes Ethan so long to finish his books is because he's still doing everything traditional. Like he absolutely refuses to go digital.
Well, yeah, because I mean the dudes look, and you can see this when it comes to Ethan's take on anime and manga. You can see this on Ethan's takes on a lot of things. Ethan thinks he's still living in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but it is 2024. If you're not using technology and what's out there in order to enhance and improve your craft, then you're doing yourself a major disservice. The future belongs to people who can adapt and change, not those that are going to be sticking around in stuff that's decades old. And that's just, I mean, that some people don't want to hear that, but that's the harsh fucking truth.
Yeah.
That's why again, like I know people don't like to hear this, but AI is not going anywhere, folks.
Yep. And
no, it's not.
Oh man, well shoot. What was I trying to say? Ethan also only wants to hire people who still only do traditional. I'm like, dude, how do you think you get the lettering on your book through digital?
Yeah, listen, I've there's a lot of people that don't want to hear this, but again, it's 2024, about to be 2025. I can tell you right now, AI is not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Anime and manga is not going anywhere. either roll with it or get left behind. Like you're going to see, and like there's been experts that have said this. There's been artists who, even though they've said it reluctantly, that the people that are actually going to make money and keep up when it comes to the industry are going to be those that adopt AI.
Yeah,
Everybody else, everybody. I mean, these are people who, and again, they've been reluctant to admit this, but they've admitted that if you don't incorporate AI into creating your projects, you're going to get left behind, and you're not going to be able to keep up, dude. There are people. I've seen this. There is technology. It's not available to the public yet, but there is AI technology where you can create large scale scenes in movies from your fucking computer, as powerful as the computer that I'm using right now. I'm talking about Lord of the Rings level battles just through AI animation. Now that's not available to the mainstream yet.
Yeah,
That's not available to the larger public, but that technology exists. Now you give that 5 or 10 years, dude, I'm gonna be, you, me, everybody's gonna be able to create movies on the scale of the fucking Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's insane.
yeah, and that kind of scares me because, like, you know, it's like that line from Syndrome in The Incredibles. Everybody can be super, and when everybody's super, no one will be.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do? I mean, you can't fight it. You won't win.
Like we could probably just get Trump to like outlaw it, maybe. I don't know.
Well, he's not gonna do that. He got fucking Elon Musk, who's an advocate of that bullshit.
Well, guys, here's the thing you got to realize. Once the genie's out of the bottle, there is not a force on this earth that can put that genie back in. I don't care how many laws you pass. Once the technology exists, it exists. There's nothing you can do to stop it. There's no way you can control it. It's out there. People are going to use it. People are going to adopt it. And you want to know why? Because humans are driven by one thing. What's going to make my life more comfortable and easier and convenient? And you cannot fight that. You can try to fight it, but you will lose every single time. I've used the example of the combustible engine and the horse and carriage industry. I guarantee you the best damn horse and carriage ever fucking built was by the last horse and carriage company that went out right before they went out of business. Because they were trying to compete with the combustible engine. But guess what? Horse and buggies, they don't exist anymore unless it's just for show. Like there's some tours and stuff. But as far as like a mainstream form of transportation, does not fucking exist. You want to know why it doesn't exist? Because car.
Yeah. Yeah, the horse and buggy is like pretty much, like for the, like to bring that, like that classic, Christmas, like horse and sleigh, kind of feel to it.
Yeah, but as far as like a mainstream form of transportation, does not exist because car.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with ocean liners. If you look at ocean liners, I'm talking about like what Titanic was. It was like to get people across the world and stuff and comfort and luxury and blah 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 blah. Well, guess what? Once we had airliners, ocean liners went away. They don't exist anymore. You have cruise ships, but cruise ships aren't the same thing as ocean liners. Cruise ships are something that people
they just became a luxury.
Yeah, it became a vacation spot. Ocean liners were used for actual travel around the world. Cruise ships just go out into the middle of the fucking ocean somewhere, and you have a fun time on the ship. That's it. No one uses ships anymore in order to travel across the world because planes do it better and faster.
Well, cargo ships, like
but I'm talking about people.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as an ocean liner anymore. It just does not exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. And definitely what you're saying about the convenience of man is definitely going to override pretty much anything that people want to say that it's more morally it's something that should be morally accessible. But right, I don't know. I mean, I just don't want to see certain creators like artists and people that do computer graphics, not have not have a avenue for their creativity. That'd be the only thing. But
it doesn't matter. And let me explain to you why it doesn't matter. The customer is not going to give a shit how the product was made. They just care about the product.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. They are not going to give a flying fuck. Oh, look at how much effort and blood and sweat and toil somebody put into this. They don't give a flying fuck.
Mm-hmm.
All they care about is, that looks pretty. I think that looks pretty. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, you can say, well, what does that do for the artist? Well, look, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. At some point, the entire economy and how society operates is going to have to change. And it's not because it's not whether you want it to or not. It's a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Technology and science is going to force it to change. There is coming a time at some point in the future where there are going to be more people than jobs, because humans are just not going to be necessary anymore to run the fucking economy. And that's not a bad thing either, because if your value as a person is wrapped up in your work, you're living life wrong. Your value as a person comes from the fact that you're a human being.
Yeah. But like the artist in me, just doesn't want to, see the day, where any just Joe Schmo can just go, computer, make me comic.
It's too late. It's too late.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, and no, I get what you're saying, Jesker. It's just that in one aspect, I can see there have been a lot of people that were independent that became independent because, regardless of what field, it could be music, it could be this comic book industry, it could be any industry, right? They didn't have that chance because there was not another avenue for their creativity to be displayed, right? So I do see that in one aspect. Somebody who's independent, they can go out and create and become, and have that opportunity, that avenue. I get you on that, but the ones that actually have the natural creativity to actually do something and have great ideas, I don't want them to be thrown away by the wayside because you want the necessity of AI to do everything for you. AI create a whole story arc and storyboard for you when that's supposed to come out of your own mind, right?
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, people are not going to care. Like the creatives and the artists care, yes, but you got to realize that's not the majority of the human race. The majority of the human race just want to be fed content. They don't care how it's made.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that because I had the same concerns about AI as well. But then at some point, I had to realize this is a losing battle. And why should I waste my time and energy fighting this? What, for a moral stance? For okay, that's great. Is that stance? Is it going to keep me fed? Is it going to pay my bills? Is it going to keep a roof over my head? No.
Right.
I mean, it's again, it's at some point, and people are just going to have to accept this and acknowledge it and get the fuck over it. But a robot and AI can do your job better than you ever could. They don't get hungry. They don't get hungry. They don't need to sleep. They can think faster than you. They never get sick. And you know what the big thing is, especially for employers, they don't fucking complain.
Mm-hmm. I'm a welder at my job, and we have welding robots. They fuck up all the time.
But here's the thing though. Are they AI powered welding robots?
No.
Can they learn? Can they adapt?
No.
Exactly. So what happens when you start combining those robots with AI and they learn and they adapt? Changes the game.
I don't think it's quite. I don't think it's quite there yet. So like it's getting there, but I don't think it's quite there yet.
How long do you think it'll take to get there?
Probably like 50 years.
No, 10.
10
years. Dude, I'm telling, because this is what people don't understand.
15 years. I'll say 15 years.
This is what people don't understand about technology. People think that technology develops at a linear rate. That's not how technology develops. You can look all throughout history. Technology develops exponentially. So with every year that passes, not only does technology improve every year, but the rate at which technology improves goes up every year. Dude, I'm telling you, there are people, it's crazy. There are people, experts that are saying in 5 years, AI is going to be doing some crazy ass shit that we can't even imagine. That's in 5 years. People really are underestimating this shit. It will change everything. And it's okay. I know that in America, we've been taught our entire lives that your value comes from your work. You got to be the breadwinner, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? If you live your whole life with that mentality, what happens when you lose your job? Your whole fucking identity's gone because you wrapped up your identity in that job. Stop fucking doing that to yourself. Your identity is who you are as a human being. It's your relationships. It's your bonds. All right. It is not your job.
Yeah.
And I've said this before and I'll say it again. Never, ever show a shred of loyalty to your company, because when push comes to shove, your company will never show loyalty to you.
Yeah. I just work, because I just need the money. If my company went down tomorrow, I'll just go look for another welding job.
Well, to me, listen, if I was to win the lottery and hit the jackpot, I would never work a regular job ever again in my life. And you want to know why? Because I don't see a point. I don't need it to make myself. I hear this all the time. I need to feel fulfilled. Why? Is your family not enough? Is enjoying the world not enough? Is going out in the middle of the woods and taking in God's creation, is that not enough? No, I have to be doing something. Well, I'm sorry, but you're living life the wrong way. I don't need that. I've never needed that. If tomorrow the whole economic system changed and it was not necessary to work to survive, I would never work a day in my life.
Yeah.
Because I have nothing to prove to anyone. That's not why I was put on this earth. I was put on this earth to fucking enjoy life.
Yeah.
Not prove myself to anybody. Not work for anybody. To enjoy fucking life.
Yeah.
All right, let's look. Sorry I had to go off on that tangent, but I get.
Thank you for coming to his TED Talk.
Yeah, I get passionate on this shit. Let me get caught up with the comments. The Doom Kicker creator won't give refunds either. I was robbed. a lot of people were robbed doing these crowdfunding campaigns. That's why crowdfunding has got such a bad name.
Yeah, because at that point, you basically got scammed.
Yeah, I always thought their books were late because each creator was doing the work by themselves.
No. When it comes to Comicsgate, they all basically have a team at this point.
The reason their books are late is because they can't stop fucking streaming.
Yeah.
Eventually, AI
drama.
Yeah, eventually AI will be able to adapt the original Star Wars EU novels Yeah, so then everybody can stop bitching about Disney and just make their own Star Wars movies. I'm serious. Like that's going to be possible one day.
Yeah.
I've already used AI as technical support to get my Linux media server up and running. It's insane how well it worked. It is. AI is going to take all of our jobs. I'm not joking.
They're gonna take our jobs.
You know what? It will, and I can't wait. I can't fucking wait for it. I can't fucking wait. I want my Star Trek utopia. Because and the other thing is too, like you got to think AI is going to be able to think faster and quicker and in ways that our brains just can't. AI might actually solve a lot of problems. It could solve world hunger. It could solve diseases. I mean, it could solve a lot of shit.
But Skynet. But Skynet, you know,
that's a risk I'm willing to take. If that's the risk for me to possibly get my Star Trek future, I'll take that risk.
But if Skynet comes in, then there won't be a Star Trek utopia. The robots will destroy us all. Destroy us all.
It's a risk I'm willing to take. If that means, I mean, because one day if we actually get the Star Trek future instead, that means when I have a kid, I can look that kid in the eyes and say, you will never know hunger. If you ever get a disease, it will be taken care of like that. You will never know what it means to be homeless. You will never know struggle. You will never know poverty. And if I can say that to my child, I'm leaving them, then I'm bringing them into a good world.
Yeah, but I would also argue that there's also a downside to that. We will just we'll just create multiple generations of brats.
I would rather my child grow up to be a brat than to know a single day of poverty. Because listen, there was a time that I was living in poverty, and it was the most depressing, stressful, anxiety-inducing shit. And that's when I realized that we have to get rid of this shit at any and all costs. It's fucking horrible. I didn't even realize, I had no idea that in the United States of America people could even experience that until I actually had to experience it for a bit. And that's all it took to make me realize I want poverty eliminated in my lifetime. I want it gone. It should have already been eliminated. And I would do anything and make any sacrifice and pay any cost to see that world come about. I'd rather have a planet of spoiled, rotten brats than to have a single person ever live in poverty. Because I think poverty is evil.
Yeah, but it builds character.
I don't care. You know what else it does? It also makes you bitter and spiteful and vengeful. Take the MCU, for example. Those films are not art. I love them dearly, but they're not The Godfather or New Hope. People want to be entertained. AI will entertain them. Exactly. AI can work nonstop. AI is going to be curing diseases. It will. AI may be what figures out the cure to fucking cancer.
Yeah.
Because apparently we're too stupid to do it.
Yeah.
Invest in AI. I have 533 shares of Palantir and AI stock. Bought it when it was 14. It's 62. Dude, I need to look into investing in some AI because that shit like 3D printing was a decade ago. That shit is going to make people a shit ton of money.
Adobe is already putting like AI programs, into their apps.
Yep. If Skynet happens, oh well, we kind of had it coming anyways. See, that's the thing, because humanity really does kind of suck. So if we can't grow the fuck up and get our act together, maybe we deserve it. All right, let's keep going with this. By the way, we probably aren't going to get through this entire documentary tonight. I do have to go
let's
to sleep.
let's look through the chapters, and see, if we could like just skip any of them.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through this up until we get to the Rippaverse stuff, which is at 1 hour and 19 minutes. So
okay.
and then we're gonna we'll do another live stream here in a couple of days.
Yeah,
because we've got Katie's stream tomorrow. We might do it Saturday.
Assumingly she's able to do it tomorrow. We're not completely sure.
Yeah.
Because she has some family issues. Like I'm not gonna get into any details.
Yeah.
But just in case,
Well,
if
she's not able to do the show tomorrow, we'll just pick this up tomorrow. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna get through up until the Rippaverse stuff, and then we're gonna do a second stream just about the Rippaverse stuff.
Yeah.
All
okay.
right.
It'll look much nicer just as line them up right there.
And of course, he's doing work for Rainbow to Brute, a campaign Ethan will be 3 years late on fulfilling come this December. You know what? Let me ease up on James a little, because while he's the tardiest boy with turning in his work, hoeing the shit out of your backers isn't a unique quality to him. Take the Brightwisers, for example. Oh, Mitch and Elizabeth managed to eventually get Red Rooster into their backers' hands, but that was only after they pulled one of the skeeviest, most shameless plays I've ever seen from a crowdfunding campaign. Pay attention, because this is some S-tier grifting. This duplicitous couple bamboozled their backers into thinking they were only funding Red Rooster. In reality, Mitch took that money and used it to fuel his startup, a new comic company called Allegiance Arts. Not only that, but he and his wife then made a deal with Walmart to stock Allegiance Arts books at Walmart shelves. You remember those floppies you would just randomly find where the trading cards or magazines in Walmart were? Yeah, those were Allegiance Arts books.
Pause.
And one of those books was Red Rooster. The only problem was that Mitch...
I actually seen those at Walmart shelves. Like I think where they put them at was actually like in like the book section. And they have like a little cardboard kiosk for them to put there, and I don't think they're there anymore.
No, I don't think they are either. I don't even remember these, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Michael says these two Allegiance bitches owe me a comic too. Apparently everybody owes you a comic.
and Elizabeth's backers still hadn't gotten their copies of Red Rooster Golden Age yet. Their backers were a secondary back burner priority who would have to wait 2 fucking years to receive the book they gave the Brightwisers money to make, while the Brightwisers used that money to make their dreams come true. Just pure, uncut grifcanium, the same drug that poisoned and killed Gamergate. Oh, but spoilers, the Walmart deal with Allegiant Art fell through because Mitch's company couldn't deliver the new books on time. Congratulations, Mitch.
Shocker.
You fucked over your audience and your reputation just so you could create a company that's just as bad at meeting deadlines as you are. But hey, at least they finished it. That's not always a guarantee when you give someone from Comicsgate your money. Still, the Brightwisers' idea of going bigger with their comics, of working with an established company and not just staying cloistered away in a small indie comics corner, wasn't a unique idea to them. Ethan had similar designs, not just for him, but for Comicsgate in general. He wanted CG to have that mainstream connection, and he managed to make it happen. In May of 2019, it was announced to the shock of people both pro and anti-Comicsgate that EVS will be collaborating with comic company Dynamite Entertainment to make limited edition variant covers for Dynamite IP Vampirella, available for backers on Indiegogo. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but Mikey, if the purpose of Comicsgate was to revolt against the industry through critiquing and eventually competing against it, wouldn't collaborating and building ties with Dynamite be a huge conflict of interest? If this was still early Comicsgate, I would say, yeah, it would. But this is Comicsgate 2.0, and the main purpose of Comicsgate 2.0 isn't to be a consumer movement looking to change the industry. It's for Ethan Van Sciver and his friends to get paid and stack paper to the ceiling. Ethan's ambitions to intertwine CG with the industry was one of the reasons why he used War Campaign to go after guys like Nurkish and Tim Lim in the first place, because Nurkish was too edgy and Tim was too pro-MAGA. In other words, they were bad for business. You would think having a brigade of toxic gay operas would also be bad for business, but apparently not to EVS, who gave a deaf ear to the growing number of complaints about War Campaign, both from fellow CGers and even from his own backers.
People saying, I want a refund, Ethan. I've given around 25 refunds to people who are saying things to me like, your fans are terrorizing me, and I no longer want to support your project, and I have to give up money. I have to actually go into my own bank. By the way, I can't refund money. The money is already in the business account. It's already been invested in various things. I have to go into my own personal bank account to refund people who are asking for refunds because there are efforts to intimidate or bully people from people who are saying, Hail Caesar.
Ro Kabir and his crew just glazed Ethan too much and were too useful to their Caesar for him to order their crucifixion. War Campaign.
Here's the thing, Eric. Maybe you should have actually put the money into the comic book instead of investing it in other shit.
Yeah.
And maybe, did you ever consider that maybe you ought to hold on to the money that these people gave you until the book was ready? That way, if there was going to be a need for a refund, you wouldn't be diving into your own personal funds.
Never thought of that, did you?
Well, I think he did. I just don't think he gave a fuck.
Yeah. I already got your money, bitch.
Major target within Comicsgate in 2019 was Mike S. Miller, another former pro turned comic skater who launched his own campaign, Lone Star, shortly after joining CG. The thing that would really put a target on his back happened during Pride Month. Miller, who's a proud Bible thumper like Edwin Boyette, Doug Ernst, Doug TeNapel, and many others in CG, tweeted a small quip: "Pride is a sin." Not the most inspiring material in the world, it was just a joke. Uncle Ethan, however, wasn't having it. Just to be clear here, EVS didn't really give a shit about any microaggression or whatever Miller may have inflicted upon the LGBT community. Ethan's not a liberal. This is, after all, the same guy who was perfectly cool with Vox Day until he tried to co-opt the Comicsgate hashtag, who was cool with Nurkish until he thought his Discord could cause problems for CG in the future, who has been on the kill stream multiple times. No, Ethan wasn't having it because Dynamite's president, Nick Barucci, wasn't having it. And Ethan was very keen on keeping that Dynamite train chewing along, at least until his contract with them wore out.
Yeah, basically we had a conversation with EVS, and he had told us that he had conversations with Barucci about, basically getting Mike Miller out of Comicsgate. For Barucci and the SJWs at Dynamite, his tweets, Miller's, pride tweets, would be problematic, So yeah. I don't know the extent of it, but EVS told us that Barucci did not want Mike Miller in Comicsgate. No, and no lesser words than that.
So the Frog King, having become a stalwart defender of the Rainbow Tribe, went off on Miller and then sat back while his war campaign Legion went to work on that ass. Their tactics typically involved high IQ psychological warfare, like making fake poorly photoshopped porn of their targets, creating fake screenshots of non-existent DMs, spamming pictures of dildos, and strategic mass backer refunds. This last one was especially dastardly because crowdfunding money doesn't just sit around. If the project manager's smart, he's already put it toward the project. If he's not, he spent it on something frivolous and stupid and just wasted the money. Either way, those sudden refund requests were nasty. Almost as nasty as the barrage of rainbow dildos war campaign would spam in their target's timeline.
Oh shit, I forgot that was, well, there goes my channel.
Yeah.
Good God.
Disgusted by these tactics of war campaign, but that's cap. He thought that shit was hilarious. The hazing eventually wore Miller down, and he finally left Comicsgate, thoroughly tired of war campaign and their nonsense.
Money changed the nature of Comicsgate. If money's involved, then people's behavior changes. And it's another vector where people can be put under pressure, because people can say, well, if you don't accept all this, I'm not going to buy your book, and I'm going to tell people not to buy your book.
And that's the coercion of war campaign, right? That's who I've been butting heads with, and it's like that's how they think they can control my behavior. Is like, oh well, if you're not going to do what we say, then we're going to remove our solemn pledges to you, which is taking money out of my kids' pockets, food out of my kids' mouths, so to speak, because I disagree with them about stuff.
And he wasn't the only one.
How
people
dare
inside
he?
And out.
Yeah, remember what I said, folks, about money being the problem?
Yep.
What's the old saying? Mo money, mo problems.
Yep.
Side of Comicsgate. We're getting tired of Ethan's Canadian capo and his squadron of flying monkeys flinging shit in every direction. One of them was the only guy in CG who had greater industry prestige than Ethan himself. Earthworm Jim creator Doug TeNapel. Doug joined Comicsgate back during his early heyday, but he hasn't been part of CG since 2019. And during that absence, Ethan and his Comicsgate Legion have never missed an opportunity to throw shade to Naples' way.
I shouldn't do this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Dirtworm Doug decided to launch his own spike campaign against Comicsgate on Kickstarter. Fuck this piece of garbage. $17,614 in the first 36 hours. That's pretty embarrassing.
What could Doug have possibly done to earn this level of ire from EVS? Well, according to Ethan, he used Comicsgate just to milk them for his new book, Bigfoot Bill, to get back ownership of Earthworm Jim, and then bounce from CG without giving the community the thanks it deserved for helping Dirtworm Doug dig his way out of a hole.
Oh, how
just like
dare!
every narrative Ethan pushes about a friend turned enemy. This
I don't know, man. If I got $17,000 in an hour, if I for some reason, and by the way, folks, Patreon, channel memberships, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, the information's down at the bottom of the screen. I'm just saying. But if I woke up the next morning and somehow this stream got me $17,000, not even in the first hour, just overnight, I woke up, first of all, I'd be happier than a motherfucker. Second, I would get on here and I'd be like, not that I'm not appreciative of the financial support, but what's wrong with you motherfuckers? Thank you, but I'm worried about you.
You're kind of scary,
story
me.
just doesn't add up. For one, milking Comicsgate backers for all the money you can get is something every creator in CG.
No. I'd be on here. I'd be like, guys, $17,000. What the fuck did I do? Why? I mean, y'all ain't getting it back. It's mine now. It's already in my bank account. But why?
No, you can't have it back.
It's like, look, guys, I just found out about it this morning, but I've already invested it in some other stuff, so I can't actually give you a refund. Sorry. And by investing it, I mean I just bought a car.
fault behavior of CG creators from 2018 onward. And out of them, Doug was actually one of the very few who delivered a high-quality product to his backers on time. For two, Doug did and still does to this day, even after all the BS, give Comicsgate props for helping him out like they did.
When I left Comicsgate, I was done with it. I was done. And I meant it, and I finished the dedication of the book to you. After I left Comicsgate, I made sure that dedication was there to you, and my thank you to Comicsgate in the credits. I wanted to make sure that I kept that there. To show my respect for how people helped me.
And for three, the actual reason Doug left Comicsgate in the first place was because of War Campaign and Ethan not only enabling them, but straight up throwing gasoline on a fire and encouraging them as they smoked up the joint. See, Doug had been trying to corral War Campaign for a while, intervening in a feud between some members of War Campaign and a guy called Crypto Comics.
Did not Panboy say that he would go to Matt's house before he made the video and call him out?
No, absolutely not.
Didn't say he would go to his front porch?
No, they said they were good. Pan, what did you say exactly? If you want to see all these screens, we can pull up all these screens
Doug,
later.
do you want to get it on video, bro? Because you fucking fund it, and it will happen. You buy the plane tickets for everyone to come see this, Doug, since you want to hype it. Like
I'm not hyping. I'm not hyping anything.
Okay, anyway,
you want to start shitting Comicsgate? Let's start shitting Comicsgate.
I'm clearing things up. I'm trying to save Comicsgate, bro.
Crypto Comics is a pussy, and I will kick his fucking ass.
A CGer called Brad Ashworth got caught up in the crossfire after Crypto helped him edit his Indiegogo campaign page for his comic Handyman. This, for some reason, incensed War Campaign to go after Brad too. After this, Doug just threw in the towel and pieced out of CG, tired of the thankless and fruitless effort of attempting to herd the feral cats that were Roka Beer in the rest of War Campaign.
Doug, you made a commitment to me before you made a commitment to Interplay, and you said to me, Ethan, I'm not going to talk bad about Comicsgate.
I don't remember ever saying that.
You don't remember ever saying I'm going to be respectful of the people of the fans that gave me $200,000 for
I don't remember saying anything. I remember telling you that I wouldn't go public that I left Comicsgate when I first left over Brad Ashworth.
Yeah, Doug was out. He bailed before the Pride is a Sin tweet drama with Mike Miller even started popping off. But like the bitter divorcee that he is, Ethan did not take to Naples quietly packing his things and leaving in the middle of the night so kindly. Oh, EVS was very much in his feelings. Started to throw shade at Doug. And like always, a lot of Comicsgate, especially War Campaign, took after Caesar's lead and started mudslinging as much as they could at the Frog King's designated nemesis.
When you're trying to herd 100,000 followers, they think they're doing what you want by hitting my campaign. And they hit my campaign, my email, my customers, my business all day.
Doug Naples was just on Deadwood Dale's channel, and he said that when he left CG and Ethan threw his little hissy fit about not getting acknowledged at San Diego Comic-Con, Doug lost, had to issue like $25,000 in refunds.
My favorite part about this little talk Doug and Ethan had on Ricada's stream was how it revealed how paranoid Ethan's mind really works.
Doug, are you reaching out to comic book professionals and trying to mobilize them against me and some kind of weird gay ops effort?
I heard about that, and I believe that was Tug, that I was in a private talk with Tug, and Tug went with a little bird in your ear. Someone said a little bird in your ear. Malin's doing like Doug's doing the Legion of Doom. I don't have a plan. There is no show. Tell me when a show shows up, Ethan.
Well, Tug was one of them, but there are two other people who actually sent me a long conversation that you had with them about this.
I've had long conversations with almost everyone who...
So it wasn't just Tug. So you are actually actively involved in recruiting people to do what? To do what?
Nothing. Show me what? Nothing.
This, my brothers and sisters, is called projection. Ethan thinks that Doug is trying to mobilize the troops and plot behind his back because that's what Ethan does. EVS was doing shit like this against Tim Lim for way less than what Doug Naples was putting up with. The idea you can just part ways with someone and then not immediately plot against them and make them out to be some super villain is an alien concept to Ethan's mind. Like, for people who are familiar with Uncle Ethan, can you think of anyone who severed ties with him and managed to maintain a cordial relationship afterward?
I remember when we were told to hate you, Doug. Fuck, I remember that too. We were told, by Ethan Van Sciver that you had done something, like he didn't like something you had done, but he never told us what. We never got a satisfactory answer.
Going around saying that I did something nefarious or I'm trying. No, that's just a straight up lie. I've never done that. And so that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Now, I've only been going over a few of the feuds between the big fish of CG, but there was squabbling all the way from the top to the bottom. Everyone was getting into it with somebody. John Malin, John De La Rose, Liam Gray, Mandy Summers, that Umbrella Guy, Yellow Flash, Edwin Boyette, Nasser, Mitch Breitweiser, literally everyone in War Campaign.
Man, and that Comicsgate stuff is, I'm staying way out of it. I see the writing all over that wall.
Comicsgate, to me, the reason it had value for me was that it fought against the mainstream. That's not what it is anymore. It's just lame-ass infighting.
Look, if y'all are in some Comicsgate drama, get out. Don't pick sides. Don't get involved in this. I'm telling you, this is how things fall apart.
Every single time I see a live stream, it's two Comicsgaters.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Nick Ricada has a fucking point.
Yeah, and I think the quartering, also makes a good point.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, it's like we're talking about him like Ethan projecting like onto other people, like going around backstabbing people.
Mm-hmm.
I also think this goes back to what I said before, which is the whole situation with DC, I think broke Ethan. I think he's been broken even more because of the Eric July shit.
Yep.
And I think, honestly, it has been such a strain on him mentally and emotionally that it's caused him to become paranoid.
Yeah, probably.
And that's like really it's honestly kind of scary.
Oh, like I don't. I don't think it's paranoia. I think it's ego. Like his ego has gotten so big, you know that perish the thought, that someone would disagree with him because he's the king of Comicsgate. Like he's the best artist to have ever lived. According to his mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think again, he's the Godfather. That's what he thinks.
Yeah.
Greatest thing I ever saw was Mitch Brettweiser having mental breakdown live on stream and banging his head against his keyboard, all because we asked where our books are.
Oh, how dare you, Michael? How dare?
Here's the thing. Like, these people could avoid so many problems if they just followed the simple rule of, I give you money, you give me product.
Yeah.
It's really that fucking simple. Back when Nick was
yeah, back when Nick was saying, but yeah, that's how business works. You give me money, I give you the thing that you wanted.
Exactly. I miss old Nick Rekieta.
Yeah, and he's never coming back.
He's never coming back. I wish he would, but it's probably going to take a lot of time. See, the thing is, even if he goes to prison and they say he has a pretty little mouth, let's just be honest here. Aaron Imholt has probably told him the same thing at this point.
Yeah.
You got a pretty little mouth, Nick. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I did not watch much of Nick. Like, I've only watched him talk about, like the Vic Mignogna case and Kyle Rittenhouse case, and I did not watch anything else from him after that.
I used to watch him hardcore, but like a year and a half ago is when I started noticing he was going downhill, and I was like, I'm not watching this train wreck anymore.
Yeah. All these downfalls, simply come down to ego.
Yeah.
Where they just get too big for their britches. Pride cometh before the fall.
Yep. The reason pride is the deadliest sin is because all other sins originate from pride.
Yep. Michael Knowles put it best. Pride is the queen of all sins and the sin of queens.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Fighting with each other.
Comicsgate was supposed to be about criticism of the comics industry, and then second, making books, selling them to people who want to buy them.
But a guy like Zach and EVS, their YouTube channels used to be growing legitimately, significantly every month. In February of 2020, Comicsgate is significantly smaller than it was in 2019. These are facts.
Somewhere along the way, people added in drama, gay ops, infighting, backbiting, whatever you want.
And why do you think that is? Do you think it's because once money was injected into the hashtag, everyone got fucking egomaniacal about it? Or do you think
yes,
it's just
exactly.
I will strongly urge people to just walk away from whatever that nonsense is.
While there was plenty of infighting
your
inside
own way.
drama, Comicsgate's external problems weren't going anywhere. In fact, they had only gotten worse. The main difference that set these guys apart from the initial wave of anti-CGers in 2017 and 18 was that they weren't SJWs. They weren't necessarily dyed-in-the-wool conservatives either, but their problems with Comicsgate had nothing to do with them being an enclave of racist, sexist Nazis or whatever goofy shit cornballs like organized chaos or actual fandom would say. No, their problems with Comicsgate was that they were dumb, lying pieces of shit. These guys are a different beast than the SJW anti-CGers are, because unlike them, they actually do research and keep receipts. Two examples being Thomas Royloop of Shitty Webcomics and Vickyverse of D&V Investigations, who both exposed Ethan during the Ribbit Coin scandal of 2019. Ribbit Coins being some Cyberfrog merch Ethan and Dynamite made as part of their collaboration together. You would think these would just be part of a stretch goal, but nah, they were a whole separate campaign priced at $25, the same price as a Cyberfrog comic. Ethan believed the price range was perfectly valid because the coins were 99.9% silver with 25-karat gold.
Which they
Silver
weren't.
coins are 2019 JFK half dollars. They're straight from the mint. They're not available at any bank or in circulation. They're mint silver proof coins for 2019, 99.9% pure silver.
Here's the problem. The Merrick Mint, the company Dynamite got to make the coins for Ethan, didn't offer colorized JFK 99.9% 99.9% silver half-dollar proofs. So how did EVS get them? He didn't. Thomas Roy Loop revealed to the world that Ethan's Ribbit coins weren't colorized JFK 99.9% silver half-dollar proofs. They weren't silver at all. They were regular-ass Kennedys made up of 75% copper and 25% nickel. Literally 0% silver. Oh yeah, and they weren't really colorized either. That little cyber frog on them? Just a piece of paper. Not even a sticker, but just an inked piece of paper held into the coin with a primer coat that Thomas was able to easily peel off with some mayonnaise on a butter knife.
I was gonna set a timer, but it came right off.
Again, EVS priced this at
That is a freaking scam.
After Vicky posted a video about this with the beautiful title, "Did Ethan Van Sciver commit criminal fraud?" Ethan jumped on a stream with Vicky.
So I am not interested in defrauding people, especially not for a paltry sum of money like that. That's not something I do. So I would very much appreciate it if you and everyone else who's accusing me of fraud in any way would cease and desist, because my lawyers will kick your asses if you continue to do so. I expect you to not involve yourself in what would legally be called defamation.
Defamation? Really, Uncle E? You know Vicky didn't actually accuse you of committing fraud in the video, right? All she did was present receipts of you falsely advertising your product as something it most certainly wasn't. She also pointed out how you, out of nowhere, edited the Ribbit Coin campaign page to get rid of the part where it mentioned it being 99.9% silver. Crazy how you didn't care about that for months until shitty webcomics posted those tweets. Mikey, aren't you going a bit too hard on Ethan for a mistake that was mostly Dynamite's to begin with? Ethan refunded everyone anyway. Okay, but that's not what he did. EVS didn't automatically refund everyone. He just offered refunds via PayPal. This means that you had to personally request for a refund from Ethan. This is a very important distinction because this meant you had to give Ethan your personal information if you wanted your money back. Now here's the problem with giving the Frog King your information.
It's all over the place now. Everybody knows your name is Matt, right?
Wow, Evan. Do you always dox your former customers like this?
When they're not my customers anymore, I no longer care.
But to what degree can we place the Ribbit Coin scandal upon EVS's shoulders, really? Remember that Ethan is more of a car salesman than a proper businessman. He doesn't really understand the product he's selling. Dynamite just told him these shits were real silver coins, so he took their word for it.
When did you first have those in your hand?
The Ribbit coins, I got some samples, probably way before that. I got samples of Ribbit coin probably in September. They were given to me by the licensee who received them from Merrick Mint. You can go to see their website and you can see that they make these coins. They make them, I actually investigated this myself yesterday. That's how, that's the first time I actually looked at Merrick Mint.
He shouldn't have, especially when it's his brand that's literally slapped on top of it. But still, Ethan wasn't trying to scam and scheme. I mean, selling this shit for $25 would be a scam regardless, but he wasn't actively trying to fuck over his audience. The mistake really was Dynamite's in the end. Unfortunately for EVS, this incident wouldn't be the last time Dynamite screwed him over. But before we get to that, we've got to briefly look at Preston Poulter of Pocket Jack Comics. Preston is a noted Comicsgate critic, and his CG detractor stock skyrocketed when he announced in April 2020 that he had filed for the trademark of Comicsgate. But Mikey, I thought Ethan already had the Comicsgate trademark. You would think he would, but after Antonio Malpica filed for it, the trademark was left in limbo because Malpica was still producing his comic Dead Detective Red Crimson. Yes, the one that's 5 years overdue in fulfillment right now. Since owning a registered trademark requires you to actually produce a commercial product, the Comicsgate trademark was technically left up for grabs. Preston had been using the name of Comicsgate for a good year in his video series, Last Week in #Comicsgate, where he had been chronicling the autism of CG week by week.
People in the chat, especially War Campaign, Hail War Campaign, find all of the stuff that I want you to basically do a deep dive on Preston Poulter, and I want you to find everything that he's posted, find his appearances on YouTube and Twitter, and I need you to store and archive them.
On the face of things, Preston seemed like a more competent and dangerous rival for Ethan than Voxday was. He was even a comic creator, independently publishing his own books and getting them out on time in between making videos. Sadly, Preston came to the game unprepared and got caught with his pants down. No, literally. Ethan found footage of Preston Poulter without any pants. Because as it turned out, Preston Poulter was on that Mia Khalifa timing with a short but very productive porn star career, typically with him in the role of a male sub or cuck. Now, I'm only highlighting this for 3 reasons. 1, to make it clear that Ethan and War Campaign are one and the same. They're of the same mind, on the same wavelength, who do the same dirt digging, and both think that porn is the perfect psychological weapon against their enemies. 2, throughout this era of CG, EVS was super concerned about Comicsgate's image. But here this nigga is tweeting out cuck porn. If you were following Comic Pro secrets at this time, cuck porn would have shown up on your timeline. This is the dude who wanted Nurkish gone because his edgy, tiny-ass Discord that nobody except a few of Nurkish's fans cared about. But you going on a kill stream? You keeping War Campaign around? You posting money shots from your ops' old porn career? No, that's not bad for Comicsgate's image at all, apparently. And 3, I ain't even gonna front. This shit's hilarious, bro. Preston, I've got no beef with you, no agenda against you. Your content actually played a very vital role in helping me make this video. But you really should have wiped all that shit off the internet eons ago before you got in an internet slap fight with someone as scummy and bummy as Ethan Van Sciver. That's just an L for you, my guy. Back to the Comicsgate Dynamite deal. The beginning of the end would start in July of 2020 when Cecil would finally get his own Dynamite crowdfunded cover drawn by Donald DeLay. I'm not sure if it was the titties or Cecil just being that disgusting to look at, but the SJWs on Twitter, as well as much of the talent at Dynamite, could no longer abide by the deal Dynamite and Comicsgate had together. It didn't take much pressure for Nick Barucci to crack and issue a public apology announcing that Dynamite's collaborative efforts with Comicsgate would come to an end. It was then that Ethan realized that if this was all it took for a company like Dynamite to not even do collaborative covers with Comicsgate, then CG ever achieving any real mainstream reach outside of its niche was just a fantasy. fantasy. This fantasy was why he tried to keep CG as politically neutral as possible. And the main reason he initially wanted the overly pro-MAGA types like Tim Lim, the overly edgy boys like Nurkish, and the overly religious guys like Mike S. Miller to leave Comicsgate in the first place. But it was all for nothing. Who would have guessed that Dynamite, the guys who donated to the Bail Project, which bailed out Antifa and BLM rioters during the 2020 Summer of Love, would be made up of people who didn't approve of Dynamite working with Comicsgate? Who could have seen this coming?
That, EVS had these huge campaigns, and he was talking about the Dynamite thing, like, hey, maybe we can get distribution for a bunch of guys in Comicsgate. So he made it sound real nice. We kind of went along with some of the stuff that he was doing, and then it was just slowly popping up some of these issues with Dynamite. We knew they were SJW from the beginning, right? But we were told, hey, he's turned a new leaf, and he's going to let, Comicsgate's going to get in the back door. That's how we're going to get in the mainstream. Slowly over the years, we found out this was not true. All these contracts EVS had with Dynamite, a bunch of them, like the first one, that Frogcoin stuff, ended up being fraudulent, and they had to refund it.
Oh, literally everyone. Literally everyone in Comicsgate except Ethan could have seen this coming. But the headaches from the Dynamite deal didn't end there. Another person who was part of the Dynamite Comicsgate deal was Anna Mello, aka that Star Wars girl. She was kind of like Nurkish or your boy Zach, where she wasn't really Comicsgate, just Comicsgate adjacent. And that was fine with EVS, because all he was trying to do was get her those big old numbers in her subscriber count. She was also part of the Fandom Menace, a collective of disgruntled Star Wars fans, something Ethan was famous for being himself when he first joined Comicsgate, but that part of his identity had lost some relevancy by 2020. Through the Fandom Menace, Ethan could gain access to a new audience, new viewers, and possibly new backers for his campaigns, which he needed because his mismanagement and late fulfillment with his previous campaigns was bleeding him of some of his previous backers. Now make no mistake, the Comicsgate Fandom Menace connection was also beneficial to Anna, with her getting to do a Vampirella cover for Dynamite being one of the perks. But then Caesar's Praetorian Guard got up to their usual shenanigans and started going in on that Star Wars girl and her cover for Vampirella. This drama was actually a continuation of an earlier tension between Ro Kabir and Anna concerning Anna's sister, who went missing while driving alone one night. While Anna and her friends and family were worried sick and had authorities out looking for her, Ro, being Ro, made a few inappropriate jokes about the situation. These jokes aged like fucking milk after Anna's sister was discovered having died in a car accident. Anna, understandably, wasn't the biggest fan of Ro after this. Rather than just apologize or, I don't know, leave the lady mourning her dead sister that you made jokes about alone from that point onward, Ro and the rest of War Campaign would start trolling Anna about her Vampirella cover just a year later under the hashtag ThoughtGate. Not only because they didn't think it was a good cover, but because they didn't like the idea of an outsider like Anna getting treated like a Comicsgate princess and stealing the opportunity from an actual member of Comicsgate. And this would be the straw that finally broke the camel's back for Ethan tolerating War Campaign. It was one thing when they were going after people Ethan wanted them to, or was just indifferent about. But now they were going after people like John Malin, Cecil, some of the guys at Geeks and Gamers, even Kyle Ritter. The Kyle Ritter who's not only Ethan's colorist for Cyberfrog, but is also the dude who colored the cover for Vestige, a crowdfunded comic launched by War Campaign. These niggas just did not believe in the concept of friendly fire. And that Star Wars girl and the rest of the Fandom Menace crew was where Ethan had to draw his line in the sand. It took him a lot longer than guys like Mike S. Miller and Doug TeNapel, but Ethan finally realized that War Campaign was bad for business and effectively excommunicated Ro Kabir and his legionary brethren. What's crazy is that all of this, all these pros leaving CG, the Ribbit coin scandal, CG being blacklisted by Dynamite and the rest of the industry, War Campaign being disavowed by Ethan Van Sciver, is all stuff that just snowballed from the Comicsgate Dynamite collab in the first place. Just one drama arc right after another. Granted, a lot of it, especially the stuff involving War Campaign, probably would have happened regardless. But did it all have to happen in 1 year? And if all this drama wasn't enough, there was one final bombshell dropped on Comicsgate just before 2020 wrapped up. In December, the Meyer v. Wade lawsuit was dismissed without prejudice. Richard C. Meyer dropped his lawsuit against Mark Wade. Your boy, Comicsgate's boy, couldn't even make it to 2021 before he threw up that white flag. Brother should have took Doug Ernst's advice when he had the chance. In the end, Mark Wade successfully got away with gatekeeping Meyer out of the retail market. While it might not seem like that big of a deal because it did inadvertently net Meyer a bigger bag in the long run, this was a psychological blow to the CG psyche that not even 10,000 Israeli pagers could match. I was only partially joking when I likened your boy Zach to Comicsgate Moses earlier. He's almost like a folkloric hero of sorts to the CG community, his battle against Mark Wade being the last remaining relic of Comicsgate's original consumer revolt identity. So Meyer dropping the lawsuit, throwing in the towel against one of the biggest and most notorious SJW comic industry bullies who hated Comicsgate, was the equivalent to Moses stopping at the Red Sea just as it was parting and then taking his ass back to Egypt because he didn't want to walk that far. This event dealt a permanent blow to Comicsgate's morale. But it doesn't matter. None of this goofy 2019-2020 bullshit I just told you matters. Because in the middle of all of it, Ethan, in March 2020, finally launched his campaign for Cyberfrog 2 Wreck Planet. And not only would he meet his funding goal within 24 hours, he would land in the upper six figures by the campaign's end, crushing Cyberfrog Blood Honey's funding and silencing all his haters. The king of Comicsgate had done it again. All he had to do now was ship it out and start getting it into backers' hands by May of 2021. Just a little over a year. Here's the thing. Ethan hadn't finished the book yet when he launched the campaign. Not that this is unusual for Comicsgate. Almost all of them launched their campaigns while they were still in the process of completing the book, the money that they would need for fulfilling and finishing it coming from the backers. But this, combined with the overly lax attitude from CG creators about meeting any type of deadline, was what caused their books being late and still unfinished when the fulfillment date reared its head to be the rule rather than the exception. This was a far cry from Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini, who always either had their books done or almost done before their campaigns went up. This is why Tim and Mark have only been late once when delivering their books, and the one time they were late had nothing to do with their books not being finished.
But Iconic seems to to kind of figure that problem out. You're late essentially on nothing. I think the one time you were late before I caught it might have been by like three weeks.
It was by a month, and it was not. And it was not because the book was late. It was because we were waiting on patches to arrive.
With the exception of Ethan and a few of CG's top dogs, funding was down for CG books all across the board from 2020 onward. And the biggest reason wasn't War Campaign or any drama. It was just that so many of their expensive ass books.
Imagine that, guys. Actually having your book almost finished before you do
most
a fucking
unorthodox.
campaign. It's like
most unorthodox.
Again, like this just goes back to what I said before. The comic is not the product. It's Ethan. People are not funding these things based off of Cyberfrog.
Yeah.
They're funding these things based off of Ethan Van Sciver, and they're getting screwed because guess what? Just like any good cult leader, the cult leader is always going. Listen, if you join a cult, all right, you join a cult, here's what's going to happen at the end of the day. You're going to end up 6 feet under because you drank some poison Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
All right. Look up Jim Jones if you don't know what I'm talking about. Look up Jim Jones in Jonestown. You're going to end up in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere, South America, dead because you decided to listen to some guy who claimed that he's a messenger of Jesus, commie Jesus, and he said, "Here, drink this Kool-Aid. It's all right. Drink this Kool-Aid. It's all going to be okay. Go ahead. Go ahead." I mean,
you will ascend.
You will ascend. That's right. It's never get into a cult, guys.
Yep.
We're constantly late. You want Comicsgate to be a brand instead of a hashtag? Fine. You want it to be a business instead of a movement? Fine. Good businesses deliver their products and services to customers on time. Something that the iconic crew manages while still working day jobs. Tim Lim was drawing Common America while working a full shift, and unlike Ethan, who literally has all
like that, like if you think about it, like okay, Tim Lim, is working, a full-time job and still getting his stuff done on time. Where Ethan, who has no job, can't even get his books done on time. How pathetic is that?
His job, he does have a job. His job is shitting on Eric July and Yellow Flash every night.
Yep, and be a cult leader, mob boss.
Bro, the simple fact is that Ethan Van Sciver, excuse me, Ethan Van Sciver no longer cares about comic books. I don't think he cares about Cyberfrog.
Mm-hmm.
All he wants to do is get online and get super chats.
Yep.
For bitching. That's it. Because he realized that is far easier and probably more lucrative than actually drawing and releasing a comic book.
Yep. And oh my god. I asked this question to Ruby, once in his live stream. It's like, what's stopping Ethan from getting his 2 Cyberfrog books out on Barnes and Noble shelves? Like what's stopping him now? like the 2 books are already done, right? So why not get them out there on Barnes and Noble shelves or at Walmart shelves? Like, why? Why not get them out there? You expand your fan base.
He doesn't care. I honestly
no. The reason is that he's comfortable where he is in his little safe space where everybody loves him, where nobody's allowed to criticize him, and he feels like there's no competition.
Yeah, pretty much. It's. Yeah, that sums it up pretty well, honestly. It really does. I mean, it's just
that's why he's freaked out about Eric July, because he now feels like he has to actually try now. Crap.
Now,
I actually have to try now.
Now here's the thing. If he was just making money off of live streaming, super chats, AdSense, Patreon,
then why does he even need to make a comic book?
That's the thing. Like, if that's what he wanted to do, just be a YouTuber, just be a social media influencer, that's fine. There's people on this platform, that's all they do, and that's their job. That's fine. I'm not going to knock anybody for doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's 2024. and you make your living however is the best way to make your living. I am not going to knock anybody for that. All right, if you can make a living and you can make it easy, go for it. My problem is when you go on here and you claim to be this comic book writer, this comic book artist, and he was at one time. All right, give the man his props. All right, he put out some good shit at one time. But when you're out here and you're saying that you're a comic book artist and a comic book writer, and then all you're doing is streaming and everything, it's like, no, you are an ex-comic book writer, an ex-comic book artist who has become a YouTuber. That's what you are. Stop claiming you're anything else. Number 2, stop taking people's fucking money through crowdfunding if you're not going to give them their fucking product.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a social media influencer or a YouTuber, then make your living through the super chats, make your living through Patreon or whatever the hell subscription service you use. Make your money through channel memberships, that type of shit. But do not take people's money for a comic book and not deliver on what people paid for.
Yeah.
Listen, when people give you money on channel memberships or Patreon or super chats, they know what they're paying for. They're paying for you.
Yeah.
They understand that. But when they give you money for a comic book, they're paying, in theory, they're paying for the comic book and you're not delivering the product. That's the fucking problem. That's where you have an ethical and moral issue.
Hold on. Okay, so like in Common America, like they actually like make a jab at Ethan Van Sciver, which I thought was hilarious. If I can find it real quick. Like I know where it is. Major League. Okay. Can we do like a quick share? Okay, Major League. Oh yeah, okay, it's just this little scene.
As a hero represented by Lansky and Schultz. There are big bucks waiting for you, and we only ask for a 45% commission. Don't believe me? Here's a word from America's most beloved, powered public citizen.
Slamphibious Rex. Does this look familiar?
Yeah, that's right. My I can't read that part. What was it saying there?
Yeah, that's right. My come save me fund pulls in 6 figures a week. I'm the best. For God's sake, help me! It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Suck it, haters. I called you 2 hours ago. I donated $1,500 to you last year. Last year, you blood. Don't tell me what to do. You shit. You don't give me deadlines. You can be patient or you can have a refund. I'm working every minute of every day to save your life. Quality heroics takes time. Anyone can crap out an average rescue. But this is important because I'm the best. You want the best rescue, right? Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Ugh, fine. Your whining is so cringy. And the guy's like, oh, thank you. Yeah, so, gee, I wonder who that is meant to be.
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Who could that possibly be?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's got a crown, so he must be a king of some sort. Very amphibious, so could almost be like a frog.
Ah, I got it. It's Frog Tony.
Probably. Yeah, but I don't think Frog Tony was a thing back then.
Oh, all right. Let's get through this. We got a couple of more minutes left, and I got to get my ass in bed. I got shit to do tomorrow. All right, here we go.
whole day to fucking draw, managed to get his books out on time. You would think, with how much Ethan bungled Blood Honey, being 13 months behind schedule, that he would make sure that would never happen again. That he would finish and deliver Cyberfraud 2 Wreck Planet in a timely manner. You would be wrong, because Ethan would keep his backers waiting until 2023.
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon?
How the fuck is that even
For a
possible?
book.
Ethan? Making Cyberfraud is the only thing you have to do. You're a self-employed millionaire with a single project you have to work on, bro. Why the fuck
You
is it
had
taking
one
him most of the
job.
Biden administration to finish his fraud comic? Well, that's easy. He's too busy going to ball games. He's too busy going to concerts. He's too busy shit posting on Twitter. He's too busy doing daily 80-hour live streams. He's too busy playing with his shitty Ninja Turtle ripoff toys. He's too busy doing a whole lot of not working. EVS was always a slow worker, even when he was in the industry. But now that he doesn't have any deadline to meet, that he's not imposing upon himself, oh, that's a wrap for any inkling of a work ethic that Ethan Van Sciver ever had. EVS just isn't built like the workhorses at Iconic Comics, who would never keep their customers waiting 3 fucking years for a single book. Now, while there are plenty of examples I can give of people who did get their books out on time, some even from within CG, there's one guy in particular who not only got his books out on time, he got this arcane art of punctual delivery down to a science and took over the whole indie comic game, just like everyone thought Comicsgate was going to.
Dum
And-
dum dum.
And that, folks, is where we're going to call it a wrap for tonight. But listen, I think Ethan should retire.
Yeah.
I think, like, he already practically has, but he should just make it official.
Yeah, like after after this third book, like you know, like just be one and done and bounce.
Yep. Make it a trilogy. Move on with your life.
Yep. And if he doesn't like at least try to get these books out into like Barnes and Noble, then I say fuck him.
Yeah. All right. Much appreciated, Andrew. Thank you for coming on. Dragon Man, I don't know where you went to, but appreciate you guys. Go check out Andrew's comics over at XP Comics. I'm posting a link in the chat. Again, it's also down in the description box down below. We are going to pick up this documentary another day. If Katie does not have her show tomorrow, I'm going to do it tomorrow night. If she does, we'll try and do it Saturday or Sunday, one of the two. Michael brought up the whole thing with Nick. I need to do a live stream on Nick at some point because there's been some developments there. We need to get caught up on that. Also, depending on how the Riley and Eric July case turns out, might need to talk about that. I also need to do I got to get caught up on all that shit. I've just been so busy this week. Like, work has been a pain in the ass. But I got to get caught up on the Dyma shit.
Yep.
Which, real quick on that, by the way, I saw the Dyma premiere the other day.
Yep.
Shit was fantastic.
Like some of the kid voices, were like, I'm not sure, but I don't think we're gonna be seeing them very much. Like with Krillin's kid voice, like you figured that like they would like bring back the original, Kid Krillin voice actor, but I guess
I don't know why they didn't do that. I will say though, the one they got for Vegeta I thought was really good. Like the cadence and everything was on point.
Yeah, it was fine. Piccolo, I don't know. It's
Piccolo sounds like Nell.
No.
Kid Piccolo sounds like Nell. But no, like Goku's voice actress, 15 years, and it's like
top notch.
It's like she never left.
Yeah. And I really hope that like by the end of this series, that they actually show, like what happened to Gohan and like when he gets turned back into a kid, and like he has like the Mo Howard bowl cut.
Yeah, and then he's got like having to do the Bobby Hill voice. Dad.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you, Dad.
Well, didn't Stephanie, do the voice of Kid Gohan as well?
Yeah, she did both.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, folks, I'm gonna call it a night. I got to get my ass in bed.
Yep.
Appreciate it, Andrew.
Yep.
Dragon Man. And we'll pick this up another day because the next chapter is going to be covering the Rippaverse drama. So, we got to talk about that.
Yep.
Anyways, I'll see you guys for the next one. If Katie has her show tomorrow, I'll be over on Katie's show. If not, we'll try and do this. We'll try and wrap this up tomorrow. Appreciate it. Peace out. See y'all later.